Truth Talks. Breaking news.
Okay, back on record, State versus Davis, C-377-407. Looks like we have the jury lined up. Anything we need to address before we bring them in?
Not from the state.
Mr. Sand?
Yeah, I do have one request of the court. I
Okay.
understand that the state will be putting on a witness that actually has a medical appointment back in California tomorrow.
Okay.
And so as a result, I would like to be able to do my cross after they present all of their direct evidence, which would include the recording that will be played with regards to an interview with Mr. Davis. But I'd like to do that at the end instead of in the middle like we did yesterday or the other day with Detective Miller. There were questions I wanted to ask Detective Miller that I just couldn't do after the recording had been played. And so I understand that this Detective Dupree, would be in California tomorrow for the appointment. I just would.
So you understand that he's going to be back in California, but you still want to do it via Zoom?
Sure, yeah, because I don't want to miss with his appointment on.
So no objection to him doing it via Zoom, but you want the state to present all of the information that they're presenting through him, and then you do your cross?
Yes.
Okay. I think we can accommodate that, right, State?
Well, I mean, there is approximately 5 hours worth of recordings with him. Once it's into evidence, our choice to play it, whether he's on the stand or not, is when we decide to play it.
Okay.
During the trial. I explained to Detective Dupree that I plan to do my direct and his cross-examination today because I knew that he had to be out of here.
Okay.
I don't think he'd be opposed to subject to recall with Mr. Sant if he wants to go and would come back on by Zoom. But I am opposed to the idea that they're going to control the way we present our evidence. We'll do direct, we'll do cross. If there's anything he wants to additionally have from Detective Dupree, I don't think that he'd necessarily be opposed to getting on a Zoom in his case.
All right. Do you guys want to talk to him real quick to see if he can be recalled? If there's something that needs to be done after everything's presented?
Okay, I just want to clarify. I heard the state basically say that they don't want me to dictate how they want to present the case. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm just saying.
You're not stipulating that they can play it outside.
Look, I mean,
Like,
this
with the
is
other
a
witness.
matter of professional courtesy. I would definitely allow him to go back to California to do what he's doing. But he's on the stand. Technically, he's not supposed to be released until after the court releases him from the subpoena. And so as a result, if you want to play that game, then I would want him to stay here overnight so he can at least be cross-examined by me. I just was trying to be nice about it by doing it the other way, but it seems now like I have to recall this person. I don't trust anyone disappearing the window. I don't care if he's a detective. Like, in my opinion, I got a problem with that.
Well, yeah, but once a piece of evidence is admitted, it's our choice as to when to play it and how to play it. And so, like, I'm not getting dictated how we do that. If he's done with cross, if he's going to delay cross and keep him on the stand long enough, he's free to play it during this cross-examination if he wants to. once a piece of evidence is admitted, it's admitted, right? And
Right.
so I'm gonna lay
if you're
the
going to have
foundation.
him verify it and then not play it until closings or something, that's your prerogative.
Or I could just, on Friday decide we're gonna play, because we have hours and hours and hours of audio to play, and just having somebody sitting on the stand for audio is not necessary. I can present it in any manner I want to. It just doesn't require the witness to be here to listen to it.
And
once
so it
it's
sounds
admitted.
like what Mr. Stamp is saying is he has no objection to you doing your direct and then playing it without him being here, and then he would like to do his cross tomorrow. So I was just gonna see if,
I just don't think we'll be through it by tomorrow. I think it may be,
Oh,
because we have a witness coming tomorrow, so we may be breaking up 2008 and then later on playing 2009. So I don't know when that's going to happen in our presentation of the evidence.
I
Is
understand that.
kind
Given,
of the issue that we're having, because we're really juggling a lot of out-of-state witnesses because nobody was in Vegas when this crime occurred.
so Mr. Stamp, what I'll do is after you listen to, when the state is done with their direct, and they've admitted what they want to admit and they say that they're done, I'll turn to you and you can let me know if you want to cross-examine now or if you want to ultimately recall him on your own for your presentation. And if, well,
there's a little bit of a regret with regards to Detective Miller, and I do understand there were some audio-visual problems with his connection, right? In terms of his, there were questions that I look back and listening to this video or this audio that I should have asked him that I didn't ask him. I do not want to fall into that same regret with regards to Detective Dupree. So I just know that there will be questions.
do you want me to ask then? I guess I was just trying to get somebody to figure out if he would be available at a later time for recall. That's all I'm trying to do at this point so that I can see what my options are.
Can we?
I'd be happy to go out and talk. I think he's in the back.
So if you guys want to talk to him and see if he has a time afterwards, I understand your concern. I understand your point that we can just admit it and play it at closings, essentially. We don't, once something's admitted, you can play it whenever you want. That is true. You also may have questions that get formulated after the item is presented. So let's see if there's a possibility for him to be recalled at all at any point. I have no problem with doing that, but I don't know if he's available.
Yes.
So go check with him and then we can come up with a plan. Sure. Okay.
If Mr. Sant has any additional questions by way of Zoom, we figure by then we'll be through the two statements.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. All right, perfect. So looks like that's been resolved. Anything else we need to address outside the president's?
Not from the state.
All right, let's bring the jury in.
Captain Jury.
Do the parties sit close to the presence of the jury?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you may be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for accommodating me as we started a little bit later. I appreciate your time. At this time, we are still in the state's case in chief. Who's your next witness, Mr.
Wade Lee.
Okay.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
My name is Wade Lee, Wagelee.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, for being here. Mr. DeJochmo, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you. Let me just give the clerk the next thing in order. I know we're kind of messed up, but excellent. Sir, back in the 90s, how were you employed?
I was a special agent with the FBI,
How long were you with the FBI?
25 years.
And when did you start?
May of 1996.
May of 1996?
Yes,
Yeah, I've been retired that long, actually.
5 years.
I want to direct your attention to the 1997, 1998 time period. What was your assignment? What were you doing for the FBI at that time?
I was assigned to a squad that was working the State Streets Task Force. I was on basically the Violent Crimes Major Offenders program, working gangs in South Central LA.
You said Project Safe Street, and that's a federal task force that has multi-agency people on it?
Yes, that's correct. The way it was generally organized, there were several squads in LA, the LA division of the FBI, that were assigned to different regions of the area, the territories. My squad was assigned to the Watts area of Los Angeles, South Central.
And as part of your duties, did you have a partner by the name of Agent Holiday?
Yeah, Todd Holiday, yes.
Did there come a point in time when the two of you, along with other members of your squad, begin an investigation into a criminal street gang by the name of Grape Street?
Yes, it
Can you
was
explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what Grape Street is?
Grape Street. The Grape Street Crips was a large gang organization that operated out of the Jordan Downs housing projects in Watts. It was basically believed to be the largest Crip set in all of America. Our squad was working the violent aspects and drug dealing aspects of that organization.
As part of your investigation into Grape Street, did you come across a person that you identified as Duane Davis?
Yes,
And do you see Mr. Davis here in court today?
yes, I do.
Can you point him out to describe something he's wearing?
It's the gentleman sitting in the at the defendant's table with the blue shirt and tie.
And how is it that you came across Mr. Davis?
During the course of our investigation with Grape Street, when you're looking at the organization, there was numerous techniques that we use for investigating, whether it was informants, wiretaps, surveillance, active interviews, and things of that nature. During the course of that interview, Mr. Davis kind of came under the umbrella under the course of our investigation of one of his associate family members by the individual of the name Rodney Blackman.
And did Rodney have a nickname?
Speedy.
During the time period that you're doing this investigation, well, let me ask you this. As part of Project Safe Streets, as well as being assigned to the Watts area, were you aware of the various gang sets and their
Yeah, I mean, while our squad was working that investigation on Grape Street, you always would have crossover in other areas. For example, in Watts, there were 3 main housing project areas. Each of them you had fairly prominent gang organizations, as well as gangs that came up from the Compton area and other parts of South Central Los Angeles. So there was usually crossover, whether it's from drug activity or other sort of gang violence, things like that.
And you mentioned one of them, the Jordan Downs.
Yes.
What type of housing, what type of gang activity was going on in the Jordan Downs?
So Grape Street Crips operated out of Jordan Downs housing projects, and they basically controlled that whole housing project as far as the drug trafficking, violent activity, and things of that nature.
If somebody were hiding out from blood gang members hunting him, and he was a Crip, obviously, would it be safe for him to be inside the Jordan Downs?
Yeah, from other rival gangs and things of that nature, yes, generally speaking.
And you mentioned that Mr. Davis had a cousin, I'm going to call Speedy. At some point, do you wind up learning information that allows you to arrest Mr. Davis for some criminal offenses?
Yes, we were part of our investigation while we were up on Mr. Blackman. There was a period of time when Mr. Davis actually was staying with Blackman. It was actually after the TUPAC SHAKUR murder. During the course of our investigation of the Grape Street Crips and of Blackman and things like that, we were able to obtain information and evidence to develop a case against Mr. Davis.
And can you just describe the general allegations of the case?
It was drug trafficking, 2 kilos. He was indicted and arrested for selling 2 kilos of cocaine.
And the type of evidence you had against Mr. Davis, what was it?
Most of it was telephone conversation intercepts from wiretaps, court authorized wiretaps.
And based upon the charges, ultimately, do you indict Mr. Davis for some crimes related to drug trafficking?
Yes, he was indicted, arrested, and then eventually pled guilty.
The type of sentence Mr. Davis was facing when he was indicted, what kind of ranges are we talking for those kind of charges?
I believe it was around somewhere in the nature of 10 years and initially, but it varies depending on, individuals' prior criminal history, whether they were felony convictions, drug trafficking offenses, and things of that nature. It also varies depending on the type of drug that the individual might have been accused of trafficking. Back then, and at that time period, the federal sentencing guidelines, there was a difference in sentencing for rock cocaine, crack cocaine versus regular powder cocaine and things of that nature. And he was indicted for trafficking 2 kilos of powder cocaine.
As part of that investigation, does there come a point in time when you do what's known as a proffer with Mr. Davis?
Yes, we did.
And describe for ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a proffer is.
So a proffer interview session would be it's usually considered, it's a fairly common practice, particularly in the federal criminal justice system, where we have an individual who's been indicted and arrested, and it sort of is the beginning of a negotiation for a plea agreement, if you will. What we do is the U.S. Attorney's Office, the defendant's attorney, they all agree that to conducting an interview with the FBI. The terms of that agreement are such that the defendant has to be open and candor, tell the truth regarding the questions that we ask him. In return, the FBI, Department of Justice, will not use what the defendant says in that proffer session against him in this case, in chief that we have him charged with. There's a couple little caveats. One being that if during trial the defendant goes on to make statements that contradict what he said in that proffer session, at that point it violates it, and we can use his statements against him. Those are generally in nature. And we agree to keep the nature of the interview confidential.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yeah. All right, Mr. Duffman, you may proceed.
When you had your 1998 proffer with Mr. Davis, well, first of all, were you by yourself, or did you have your partner Todd Holliday with you?
Todd Holliday attended, as well as Assistant United States Attorney, along with the attorney for Mr. Davis, who were also there.
And what was his name?
If I refer to by.
Well, I have what's marked as State Proposed Exhibit 46. I know you got a copy
Okay.
there.
That's fine.
How about we use the one that I have
Sure.
marked, and I'll take these
Great.
back from you.
Would reviewing those notes refresh your recollection as to the name of his attorney?
Yes, Edie Fall.
Okay, after reviewing that, has your recollection been refreshed?
Oh, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And it's Edie Fall?
Yes.
Understood. You may proceed.
First of all, let me ask this: up until you were contacted sometime this year, have you maintained the confidentiality of this conversation that you have with Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And as far as you're aware, your partner Todd Holliday also maintained the confidentiality of it.
Yes, as far as I know.
And before you hit the stand today, or sometime last week or the week before, or at some point, the United States or the U.S. Attorney's Office issued a letter authorizing you to testify to these two conversations you had with Mr. Davis.
Yes, referring to the TUI letter, yes.
And that's a requirement that state prosecutors have to get permission from the federal government to allow you as an agent or former agent to testify to actions you took in your official capacity as a federal law enforcement officer.
Yes, regarding those two interviews, yes.
How is your proffer with Mr. Davis documented?
Usually we use the standard FBI reporting mechanism, which is a FD 302 report.
And that is essentially a report that lays out the information you received. There's no audio recording of that particular conversation.
That's correct.
And is there a FBI 302? What's in front of you? And I forgot the number. Is it 146?
146.
146, is that a fair and accurate copy of the description of the conversation that you were a part of with Mr. Davis on July 16th of 1998?
Yes, it is.
Move to admit 146. Nine.
No objection.
So admitted.
Now, I'm not going to have you go through everything that was in there, but what is your purpose in talking to Mr. Davis in the proffer session?
Well, the purpose is to glean as much information as we can regarding what he knew or knew at the time regarding gang, drug, violent activity going on within the Watts and Compton areas.
Were you investigating directly, at least, the TUPAC Shakur murder?
Not directly, like it wasn't. We weren't assigned. We were working our normal gang activity investigations. However, it was known to us that he was a person of interest. Mr. Davis was a person of interest regarding that homicide.
And so during this proffer session, you asked him questions about that as well.
Yes, we did.
I'm going to go through 146 in front of you. And actually, I can roll it up here on the screen for you. Oh, it would help if I plugged the computer in. So that's what the front page of this 302 says. Is confidential and has the date and a description of who the people that are present for this particular proffer are.
That's correct.
The very first part of the interview, and let's close that. There, you have a discussion with Mr. Davis about an individual called Zip. Tell us what he tells you about this individual Zip initially.
Initially, that Zip was an individual from New York who was a pimp who controlled girls, numerous girls, sold marijuana. He did just mention that Zip was involved in PCP trafficking, and that Davis at one point arranged for an individual by the name of Patrick Bernard to give Zip some PCP. So Zip came from New York to LA to conduct the transaction.
Did he also mention how he met Zip?
Yes, he said he met Zip at a baseball game somewhere in approximately 1993 or 94. There was an individual named Fats who's also at the game that introduced Davis to Zip.
And then he talks to you a little bit about who Fats is.
Yeah, Fats was a large cocaine supplier who operated in the west side of LA. He's also known as Flint. Davis associated with Fats prior to 1994, up until basically the time, I guess, where Fats was arrested and and taken into federal custody.
I'm gonna skip past some facts. There's a or part of this conversation, a person by the name of Wayne Day comes up. Do you know who Wayne Day is?
Yes, Wayne Day was actually arrested by the squad that I worked on, the Safe Street Task Force. He was a large scale drug dealer, drug trafficker in the Watts area, Compton, with Grape Street Crips.
And does Davis describe his relationship as it relates to Mr. Day?
Yes, there was. He mentioned that they were related. That Davis had an uncle who was the uncle of Wayne Day. So how he described it.
And then there's a conversation in this next paragraph where Mr. Davis makes mention of Mr. Day having Compton sewn up. What does sewn up mean?
Well, in terms of having control of all the drug trafficking in that specific area, and actually, there was mentioned. The agents mentioned to him and said that Wayne Day had Compton sewn up, and Mr. Davis said actually that he had part of Compton sewn up, that he didn't have the south side part that Davis operated in.
And then does he tell you what his role is in the south side part of Compton as it relates to drug trafficking?
When you say he, you're referring to
Mr. Davis, sorry.
That Mr. Davis had that side of Compton handled as far as the drugs.
And did he talk to you about who handled the north side of Compton?
Yes, he did. It was an individual who was a former Compton PD officer by the name of Reggie Wright Jr.
Right. I'm going to drop down a little bit here to the part where he talks to you about both him and Mr. Blackman being major suppliers in the Jordan Downs housing project in Watts.
That's correct.
And then he begins to talk to you about the start of Death Row Records.
Yeah. Again, that was all part of the, overall investigations that we were looking at as far as the gang activity and things of that nature. And he mentioned there was an individual by the name of Harry O that provided money to start the Death Row Records. Also, what's his name? I believe Patrick Johnson provided approximately $80,000. Actually told Davis to give $80,000 that money that Davis owed to Johnson from previous gang transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, so that money could be used to start Death Row Records.
And he also explains Marion Suge Knight's role and his connection to the Blood gang members.
Yes, he did. He said that Marion Knight had gained control of the North Compton drug trade, and that he was associated with a bunch of the Blood Street gang members, like the Mob Pyrus and such. And they were, the Knight was getting them in and out, getting them out of jail, bailing them out, and they would cooperate with Knight.
And basically, when Knight goes to prison, he tells you Reggie Wright kind of takes over.
Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. took over the organization after Suge Knight was arrested.
You already mentioned Harry O, but Davis claims to actually be involved in the delivery of some of the money associated with the startup of Death Row Records.
Yes.
Jump down. I'm going to start. You see at the top there. You asked him about his prior relationship with Mr. Knight prior to the murder of TUPAC Shakur. You see that paragraph there?
Yeah, I mean, Davis said that he told us that he never had any issues with Suge Knight or any of those individuals prior to the incident in Vegas with the killing of Mr. Shakur.
And Mr. Davis goes on, and I'm going to skip down just a little bit, but he basically accuses two Compton Police Department officers, Sergeant Reynolds and Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr., the father of Reggie Wright Jr., as basically being corrupt officers.
Yes, yeah, that Reggie Wright Sr. was a lieutenant with Compton Police Department, and then Reggie Wright Jr. was a former officer with the police department. He had then started a company called Right Way Security, and then he was working with Suge Knight and doing security, although some claimed it wasn't on an official capacity, for death row records, looking at their parties and such and things like that. And they would, Right Way Security, they would employ Compton PD officers and things of that nature to conduct their business for Mr. Knight.
And he also mentions Omar Bradley. Who's Omar Bradley?
Omar Bradley's former mayor of Compton, the city of Compton. He mentions Mr. Bradley saying that he was associated with Knight and the other Blood Pirate gang members.
Skip through the part. Top of page 4, he provides information, or at least asserts that Reggie Wright Jr. is distributing drugs out of a particular location, and even names some people that are helping with that.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. Had a drug distribution location, an auto body shop called Untouchables, that was located at the corner of Alondra and Washington in the city of Compton. There was the shop was owned by an individual by the name of Melvin Hurd, and then Hurd, a guy by the name of G. Ray and Jim helped distribute cocaine from the shop.
He also mentions some people that work for Reggie Wright Jr. and assisting in the cocaine distribution.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. had an individual by the name of Mob James, who was a member of the Mob Piru street gang, individual named Flip, who distributed out of a shop location on Compton Boulevard, and Harris. There was an individual known as Buntree. But we at the time we wrote it out as Bump Tree, but we believe that actually was an individual known as Montreal or
Alton McDonald.
yes,
Buntry, Buntry.
Yes, Alton McDonald, who was the brother of Mob James, which is James McDonald. Also another individual named Trayvon Lane, who was a Mob Pirate gang member, and then Kevin Woods.
And then they can kind of read this themselves, but at some point he talks about an incident that occurs at a neighborhood mall involving a person named Marcus. What does he tell you about that?
Yeah, this is a few weeks before the murder of TUPAC Shakur. This individual, Marcus, who was a Southside Crip, was at a mall by himself. Several Blood street gang members attacked him and started beating him up. Then an individual, Mr. Orlando Anderson, who was the cousin or nephew of Mr. Davis, observed what was happening and went in to help Marcus. And they beat up and fended off the other gang members.
And then he moves on to describe the incident at the MGM casino the night of Mr. Shakur's murder.
Yes, he did.
And what did he tell you?
He told us the day of the murder of TUPAC Shakur that the Blood Street members, some Blood Street gang members saw at night. They saw Orlando Anderson. They attacked him because of the previous incident at the mall. after the attack, Mr. Davis, Orlando Anderson, and their girlfriends went back up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Hotel, and he said that was it. They didn't have any involvement. They stayed in the room the rest of the night.
He tells you that the room was in Anderson's name.
Yeah, the room was in Anderson's name. That they'd driven up to Vegas from the LA area in a Land Cruiser, and that they had some other associates: Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, aka Bubble Up, Big Dre, and Wynn also traveled to Las Vegas. They stayed at the MGM.
And he repeatedly denies to you knowing who killed TUPAC Shakur.
Yeah, he said they didn't have any knowledge of what happened, that they weren't involved. He did later speculate that maybe it was some Compton police officers that were working for Suge Knight, and that maybe it was because he had heard that Tupac was talking about possibly leaving Death Row Records or something to that effect. But
his suggestion was that perhaps Knight, who's driving the car, had Compton police officers shoot Tupac in the car Suge's driving.
yes, something to that effect.
I'm going to keep rolling down here. He gets back at page 5 to talking about Zip. So how does he tell you? Well, he talks about Zip and how he becomes associated with the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, he said that back in 93, 94, Zip introduced Davis to Notorious B.I.G. at Summer Jam concert. And Davis would associate with Notorious B.I.G. when he was in LA area, but they never had any like drug connections or anything like that.
He tells you that he was actually at the Peterson Automotive Museum the night Mr. Wallace was killed.
That's correct. Yes.
And that he saw some, at least people associated with Death Row Records at that location.
Yeah, he told us that prior to that, the night of the murder, Davis observed some females associated with Death Row Records at the party. He said, well, like Jewel, a singer, Lachelle, a comedian for Death Row, and Davis believes that they saw Mr. Wallace at the event, and then called Blood gang members to come. Davis did say he observed Reggie Wright Jr. and DJ Quick, who was a performer for Death Row, Theo, a local disc jockey, and about 10 or 11 other Treetop, Fruitown Blood gang members arrived at the event. Davis told Mr. Wallace that they were to watch, that they were there and they should watch out. And then shortly thereafter, Mr. Wallace was shot. But Davis wasn't there; he didn't see who actually shot him.
But once again, he tells you that he believes that Reggie Wright Jr. and Blood gang members are the people that killed Mr. Wallace.
Yes, he said he believed that Reggie Wright Jr. and the Blood gang members associated with him were the ones responsible for killing Notorious B.I.G. When asked who the individual was who actually killed him, based off of there was a composite drawing that was that had been provided and was kind of passed around, so we showed him that. Davis responded that the composite looked just like Reggie Wright Jr.
Do you remember the day that you arrested Mr. Davis on the indictment?
Yes.
What day was that?
I believe it was May 28th, 1998.
Was it the day before the Orlando Anderson's killed in his own shootout
Yes.
in California?
Yes.
And Mr. Davis talks to you a little bit about that without going into the specifics, but he talks to you a little bit about how Mr. Anderson wound up dying.
Yes, he did.
And thereafter, and I'm not going to go through all of these, he initially denies distribution out of state, but eventually talks to you about a lot of different locations engaged in distributing cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him to discuss all the individuals out of state who he supplied cocaine to, and all the local individuals he supplied and distributed to. He initially said that he hadn't distributed out of state to anyone or knew of anyone who did it within the last 3 years. But then he went through and we started asking about specific individuals, and he would provide more details and information about who he had supplied and what he had supplied and sort of the details.
One of the people he talks about is Primo.
Yes. Primo was an individual that he bought cocaine from, like his supplier of kilos of cocaine, anywhere from 11,500 to 12,500 a kilogram. Primo fronted Davis one point up like 200 kilos of cocaine at a time, and then Davis would go out and sell it, and then pay Primo back.
He also mentions Corey Edwards getting drugs from Mr. Davis and being out in Ohio and distributing cocaine in Ohio.
Yes, Davis said that at that time, back when we were interviewing him in '98, up until about 3 years prior, that he was supplying Corey Edwards, who was selling cocaine all over Ohio. But I guess Edwards got into, he said at one point Edwards got into some trouble with his Cleveland drug contact, and that Edwards started coming out to acquire cocaine directly from Davis. That was an individual named Bubs who resided in Cleveland.
Eventually, he describes how Primo goes back to Colombia and he gets a new supplier by the name of Samuel Lopez.
So Primo, I guess, departed the U.S. So we had to start selling cocaine in smaller quantities, and he came across a supplier by the name of Samuel Lopez, whose brother was actually in federal custody. Then Davis had heard that Samuel Lopez went back to Mexico after the FBI attempted to arrest him. And I guess there was a younger brother or another Lopez, George Lopez, used to answer the phone for Samuel Lopez at the time.
And I'm not going to go into this, but there was a discussion of someone named Dupree, but that guy's full name was Azel Dupree Hall III, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He talks specifically about the phone calls that you were playing for him, that you had captured him on the wire.
That's correct.
At the very end, he denies that he's the leader of the Southside Crips and claims Darnell Brim is actually the leader of the gang.
Yes, he's even though he had said that he was large scale, basically a drug trafficker on that south side of Compton, that Darnell Brim was actually the head of the gang, if you will.
Okay. Now I want to move on. Shortly after that conversation that you had with Mr. Davis, did he enter a guilty plea to some charges and get sentenced to 70 months in federal prison?
Yes, he did.
That's a little less than 6 years. So he got some benefit from talking to you from what the...
Yeah, I don't know if it was 70 months. It might have been 77 months, 70 or 77 months. I don't recall specifically.
Judge, I have in my hand, it says it's admitted, but I don't remember offering it, a certified copy of the indictment, the plea, and the judgments of conviction in United States District Court for the Central District of California, case CR-98537, evincing his...
I have the parties attached. All right, that would be, apparently was admitted as 75, but it will be admitted formally as 75. Additionally, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard and will continue to hear testimony regarding drug trafficking, conspiracy, gang affiliation, as well as a federal conviction of Mr. Davis's. These are not offered to show that Mr. Davis has a propensity to commit crimes. Instead, they are offered to establish credibility of the statements made by defendant in relation to this case, as well as motive and identity. Mr. DiGiacomo, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Now, after Mr. Davis goes to federal prison,
Hang on one second. They're not offered to show propensity to commit crime, and you are not to consider them for any propensity that Mr. Davis has any propensity to commit crime. You may proceed, Mr. DiGiacomo. Sorry, I phrased that one.
subsequent to Mr. Davis going to prison, do you and your partner, Todd Holiday, go to federal prison and have just a voluntary conversation with Mr. Davis?
Yes, we did. We went
Is
to
Is that situation different than the proffer situation?
it is in that it's a strictly voluntary interview. His attorney, the U.S. Attorney's Office, were notified of us contacting him because he's in custody. But the terms of the proffer, it's not the same as the proffer agreement. It's just a normal, regular interview.
But once again, you do promise him confidentiality during
Yes.
that conversation.
Yes, we did.
And up until the U.S. Attorney authorized you, you maintain that confidentiality.
That's correct.
I'm showing you what's been marked as state's proposed exhibit number 149. Is that the 302 that describes that particular conversation?
Yes, it is.
Move to admit 149.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
So admit.
And I'm going to put that one up on the screen. Can you tell me the date that occurred?
The interview. Let's see here. April 15th, 1999.
Okay. And the report's generated on April 20th of 19.
That's correct.
You begin the conversation with him talking about Mr. Anderson and his death. Is that fair?
Yes, that's correct.
And then Mr. Davis tells you he's not aware of any motive for why blood gang members or individuals associated with death row records would have wanted to kill Anderson.
That's correct.
And then he repeats that he had nothing to do with either TUPAC Shakur or Christopher Wallace's murder.
Yes, he actually, he said that himself and Mr. Orlando Anderson were not involved in the shooting death of TUPAC Shakur, and as well as anybody else that he was associated with, and with TUPAC or Mr. Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G.
Does he speculate again as to who would have been involved in these two murders?
He said, he told us he didn't know who killed the two rap stars, but that he believed individuals from New York associated with Puffy Combs or individuals associated with Death Row Records could have killed Shakur, and that individuals associated with Death Row Records killed Mr. Wallace.
And then he talks a little bit of the gang war that occurs shortly after the murder of TUPAC Shakur.
Yes. Basically, he said that there was a conflict between Davis and Mr. Marion Knight that resulted, as a result of the shootings, that the conflict, there was basically a war going on between Southside Compton Crips and Compton Blood Pirate Gang members, stemming from the mall altercation with Marcus Nunn and Orlando Anderson, other members of Southside Compton Crips, along with the Compton Blood Gang members.
And he claims the reason that people believe that Orlando Anderson is the killer is that he asserts the Compton police is telling people that.
That's correct. He made comments that he believed that Compton PD members were putting out rumors that Orlando Anderson and them were involved.
Do you confront him about Mr. Anderson, the attack, and him being upset about that particular attack?
Well, I mean, we asked him about that, about the whole escalation of incidents because of the gang activity, the incident at the mall, then at the MGM Grand, then obviously the shooting of Tupac and things of that nature. Mr. Davis said that Davis and Anderson were upset after the casino's attack on Anderson, but they weren't going to strike back with so many police officers around that they would have struck back once they returned to Compton.
So he indicates to you that he's angry enough to do it. It's just he planned on doing it back in Compton, which instead of in Las Vegas.
Yeah, if they were, apparently it was because of police presence in the area, something of that nature.
I'm not going to go through all the rest of this. The jury can read sort of the rest of this. Let me just check the very bottom. No, thank you, Agent. That completes my questions.
Okay. Mr. Sant, cross-examination.
Thank you, Honor. It's no longer special agent, or it's still special agent?
Either way is fine.
All right. We'll stick with Special Agent Lee.
Okay.
All right. Now, sir, fair to say, working for the FBI would have been something of an honor, I would imagine, working for an organization like that.
Yes.
Fair to say, of course, that working for the FBI, I would imagine that other people would consider that to be the creme de la creme of investigation throughout our entire country.
Yeah, some people would consider that, yes.
You put on seminars for law enforcement agencies throughout the country to help them with their investigative efforts, to help them become better police officers and detectives, fair?
You're talking about me specifically?
No. Well, you as the FBI.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And with regard to that, have you ever gone to Compton Police Department to learn how they do their investigative techniques, make yourself or your agency a better agency, or yourself as a better special agent?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Have you ever gone to Compton Police Department to see how they do their investigations to become a better agent yourself?
No, I did not.
All right. And once again, with regards to what you do as the FBI, you're very specific in your task, right? Your task is whenever there's a violation of federal law, for instance, you're the agency that would be tasked.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
With regards to federal law, if there's a violation of federal law, you're the agency that typically would be tasked with the investigation, right?
Correct.
Now, we talk a little bit about the 302s in this case. And a 302, just for the jury's edification, when you say it's a sort of a means, it's really just a piece of paper and a pen, right?
It's a report.
Right. And so you are writing out what your impressions or recollection was of a specific event or time, right?
Correct.
So if you're sitting in a room and we're having a conversation, you would note in your report who's in the room and what your impressions were of what was said and who said what, right?
Correct.
Now, of course, juries here would be curious. You know, we have recorders now back in 1996, 1998 in this case. Recorders were available to the FBI, but of course, that's not how you do your job.
The use of recordings for the FBI they were not standard policy and procedure for the FBI at that period of time.
Yeah, and you've retired since what, 5 years ago?
Yes.
During that time period, has it changed in terms of that policy with the FBI?
during the time period that I've been retired.
Right. No, up until the time that you retired. Has the policy changed?
The standard procedure is no, not to record.
Right. And so as a result of that, any recording that's done is typically not what the FBI does, right? You still focus on pen to paper recollection onto a 302.
Yes.
Okay. And so in terms of how you do it, the 302s that we read or at least saw put into the record is the work that you recall, your partner recalls during the course of an investigation.
Of that event, yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of the task force here, we talked a little about the task force project Safe Street. Is that what it was? Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury a little bit of what that project was about?
The Safe Streets Task Force.
Yes.
So it's a compilation of multi-agencies directed to address gang activity within specific areas. So the Safe Streets Task Force initiative is a national initiative, but then there are fundings and directives that are sent to specific areas to address areas of high crime committed by gang activity.
Okay. And I would imagine gang activity would include violent crimes.
Correct.
As well as, say, in this case, drug dealing,
Drug trafficking, yes.
as long as it's associated with gangs.
Yes, primarily so, yeah.
Because, of course, you do have the DEA that also runs their own investigations as well.
DEA, ATF, yeah, we work with.
Now, in terms of your, about this task force, can you tell us at the time when you were operating on it, who was on the task force?
Oh, I mean, there were several agencies in terms of specific agencies.
Well, just in terms of your working with other people, do you recall at all who it was that was working on the task force with you at that time?
Well, there were members of Los Angeles PD. We've had, I believe there was ATF. So there was multiple aspects of the task force. So different squads had different elements working depending on what cities they were in. So we would have Inglewood PD, Compton PD, LA County Sheriffs, LAPD, DEA, ATF. I believe we even had postal inspectors that might be involved. There was just a myriad of different agencies.
Sure. Can you tell us who from the Compton Police Department was part of your task force?
Our specific task force, the squad that I was on with Mr. Holliday, we did not have an element from Compton PD.
Why was that?
Because we were working in an area that was in Watts, in South Central Los Angeles. So we had LAPD elements, LA County Sheriffs.
So one of the things that we saw today was that one of the individuals that potentially was somebody of interest, I would imagine to you, was a police officer from Compton by the name of Reggie Wright Jr.
Well, he was a former police officer. There was Reggie Wright Sr., who was his father.
Okay, so your work in Inglewood and this other area, I would assume that that information with regards to Reggie Wright Jr. would have been sent to whoever it is that was working that particular area of LA?
Or of Compton. There was a different squad that was working Compton. Yes.
Can you tell us who that squad was?
What do you,
Who was in that squad?
the agents or,
Yeah.
to be honest, I don't, well, I mean, some of the agents I recall.
Do you know who that you can recall that was there?
At that specific time, I'm not sure. There was an agent, Elliot.
Michael Elliott?
Yeah, he worked down there. Yes.
And I don't want to strain you a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
So and the reason,
For clarification, because over that time period, agents will change squads and things of that nature. Like I left the gang task force in 2003, and squads would move and change objectives. So who was working at that specific time? There may have been somebody at one period and then it changed or whatever over the course of time.
And would it be fair to say, of course, it's something like this, if you really need this information, you would refer to a 302, to refresh your recollection if you have it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, though, in terms of your role here, there was a proffer session that was conducted with my client, with Mr. Davis.
Yes.
And that proffer was set for July 16th, 1998. That's the exhibit, I don't know, I think it's that one right there. That's correct. Up in the top right-hand corner, do you see the date?
That was the date of the report.
Right, so it'd be dated
It was
July
actually
16th.
July 14th. It was the
Oh,
date.
July. Okay, so even though the date says 16th on this, it would be the 14th?
Yes. Well, so there's a little bit like, the date of the 16th is the date of the report. Down at the bottom where it says 7/14/98, that's the date of the actual activity.
Okay. And you're meeting with Mr. Davis, and specifically, you're meeting with him in terms of under the task force, which was gangs and whatever they're doing that's crime related to gangs. Is that what we're doing at this point under the Safe Street Task Force? Okay. And so when you meet with Mr. Davis, there was an understanding at that particular point that, hey, whatever you're going to tell us, we're not going to prosecute you for. Is that what was happening on that date?
Under the proffer agreement, yes.
Okay. And that proffer agreement, of course, does require the approval of the United States Attorney's Office that would be responsible for that area, right?
Yes.
And in this case, that person would have been Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell.
Correct.
Was he present for that meeting?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so it's you, your partner, another FBI agent, as well as Special Agent Michael Terrell.
Assistant United States Attorney, Mike.
I'm sorry, Assistant United States Attorney Michael Terrell. And in that meeting, there's an understanding between Mr. Davis and his attorney that whatever was going to be said was not going to be used against them.
Unless he came out and testified and said something that was contradictory to what he said in the proffer agreement, yes.
Sure. Now, once again, we're talking about the federal government here, right? So was there an actual proffer that was signed by the parties indicating the understanding that you're telling us right now in terms of what was the terms of the agreement?
My recollection is that there is, but that's maintained by the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay. And since we're talking about that particular proffer here today, fair to say that would be relevant information that we should be considering?
Could you
Objection
repeat that?
to the form of the question calls for a legal conclusion.
Okay, sustained if you would rephrase.
So I want to make sure I'm clear here. We are talking about a proffer. You're telling us that there is an actual writing, a contract of some sort between yourself and Mr. Davis with regards to that proffer. Do you have a copy of it here today?
That's not between myself and Mr. Davis. It was between Mr. Davis and the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay. And once again, do you have a copy of that here today?
No, I do not.
Now, in terms of your understanding of this agreement, Mr. Davis gives an agreement, and in the agreement, I'm assuming the idea behind it is that he has to give you truthful information, right?
Correct.
And if there's no truthful information, then he's exposing himself to a potential crime in which he's now freely admitted to it, right?
I'm not sure I understand the question
So-
you're asking.
Here, I don't want to break it down for myself because maybe I don't understand. So a proffer agreement promises the person that you're interviewing that we're not going to prosecute you for what you're telling us.
Right.
If the person's lying and you catch them lying, then technically the proffer doesn't count anymore because they violated their terms of the agreement. Is that how that goes?
If they like during the agreement
During the
or
proffer?
during the proffer session.
Right.
So that doesn't necessarily, the benefit is for consideration for plea bargaining and sentencing consideration. So if the individual who is being interviewed during the proffer session shows a lack of candor, lies, and things of that nature, then the consideration for a plea bargain, plea agreement will be considered by the United States Attorney's Office and what they will offer to that defendant. as far as using it against them, it's still the proffer agreement terms as far as using that information against them in that case in chief on that charge, we would still not use it. Does that make sense?
Sure. I just want to make sure it makes sense to
Right. Okay. So one of the things about the proffer agreement is it's, as I said earlier, was to set up it's at the beginning of a sort of plea negotiation period. So we go to Mr. Davis, we say, you come in, you tell us the truth. We won't use it against you in this case or whatever, regardless of what you say. And the United States Attorney's Office will take that information, determine how useful, how valuable it is. For example, not in this case, not necessarily in this case, we've had individuals who provide information and then they actually go on to become cooperating witnesses for us. They're willing to testify in case against other co-defendants and things of that nature. All of that gets utilized in determining the sentencing for that person and for reducing their sentence on that federal charge. As you're suggesting, if an individual comes in and they're not truthful, they're providing us information that we know is factually inaccurate based on our other investigations, surveillance, wiretaps, and things of that nature, and statements from other witnesses, we would report that to the United States Attorney's Office, and they would take that as far as the sentencing that they would offer for the plea agreement. They would say, well, your client hasn't been forthright and candor. We're not going to reduce it at all.
Did you do that in this case? Was there any recommendation from you or your partner back to the United States Attorney's office, and specifically to AUSA Michael Terrell, that said, hey, Mr. Davis is not being forthright and truthful with regards to his July 14th, 1998 statement?
I did not specifically do that. Whether or not Mr. Holliday did, I'm not aware.
Now, let me ask you this then. So he gives a statement, and I want to make sure we're clear. You listen to what Mr. Davis says. Did you ever verify the information in here specifically about allegations of TUPAC SHAKUR's murder?
Verify in terms of what?
Well, for instance, in the document that would have been the year 302 that's dated as of July 14, 1998, there's an indication here, for instance, that at the Las Vegas casino, Davis's girlfriend, and Anderson's girlfriend walked or went up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Casino. Now, once again, this is 1998. The death of TUPAC SHAKUR was in September of 1996.
Right.
Did you ever verify that information with Las Vegas to see if either, and in this case, what the 302 indicates is that the room was in Anderson's name. Did you verify that to be true?
I did not specifically, no.
Okay. And then with regards to the way in which he describes, meaning Mr. Davis, how they got to Las Vegas, he says in here that they drove to Las Vegas in a Land Cruiser. Any particular reason? I mean, did he have a Land Cruiser? Was there any verification of that information?
I did not verify that.
No. Now, in addition to that, he had indicated that Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, and Big Dre, or AKA Big Dre, Big Dre and Wynn had also traveled to Las Vegas. Did you ever verify if any of those individuals went to Las Vegas?
No, I did not.
And whether or not they stayed at the MGM Casino?
No, I did not.
Okay, so once again, for the jury's edification, shooting takes place in September of 1996. You're getting this information from Mr. Davis on July 1998, right?
Yes.
About a year and, 8 months, 9 months, something like that. Now, in addition to that, he had made mention, at least with that first interview, that he believed that Compton police officers had been the ones to have committed that particular act, the crime in Las Vegas, in terms of the shooting of TUPAC SHAKUR.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And once again, that's just for the
I'm sorry.
record.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And with regards to that, though, sir, did you ever look into the possibility that Compton police officers may have been involved in the shooting of TUPAC SHAKUR?
I did not specifically know.
Okay, and when you say I did not specifically, do you have any personal knowledge as to who in the FBI was responsible for following up with that information?
I'm aware that there were numerous investigations going on. There was Las Vegas PD had an investigation. There were Compton PD, LAPD. There were numerous elements of investigation going on regarding the murder of TUPAC Shakur, regarding Mr. Davis, our squad, and what we were investigating regarding the gang activity and the drug trafficking and the charge that he was on. I was not specifically tasked to follow up and track that down. Who did? I'm not aware of.
Now, fair to say though, of course, if you become aware of a crime like that, you would report the information that you have to whoever the responsible investigative agency would be, right?
Correct.
You're not just gonna hold on to that information and just keep it to yourself, right?
Correct.
Or ignore it.
Correct.
So in this case, for instance, you share with us that there were wiretaps that were being done of Mr. Davis's phone during the time period you were investigating. You recall that line of questioning?
Yes.
Now, a wiretap is not the same as a pen register, right?
Correct.
And just for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, pen register is just numbers that you just that you keep recording in terms of what number is calling out, what number is being received.
Correct.
And then an actual wiretap is when you listen to phone calls where people are talking on the phone without you telling them that you're doing so, right?
Correct.
So with regards to the information that you received and the phone calls that you had, were there any phone calls at all in which this guy over here, Mr. Davis, somehow admitted or said anything along the lines of that he was either involved in the murder of TUPAC Shakur or that he was even in Las Vegas on the day it happened?
So the first part of the question, no, that would be no, there was nothing. Regarding the second part, being in Las Vegas, I believe my recollection is that there was conversation about being in Vegas and coming back to Vegas after the incident, the incident being the murder of TUPAC Shakur, but that was it.
Okay, and once again, I don't want to put any real pressure on you. This is 30 years ago.
Right.
So in terms of that kind of information, that would have been at least given to somebody that would have been interested in knowing whether or not, Duane Davis was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting of TUPAC Shakur. Fair?
Yes.
And as far as you can recall, without looking at any notes to refresh your recollection here, that was never done.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Did you personally ever make any calls to either Las Vegas Metro, LAPD, or Compton PD specifically about, hey, there's information here that Keefe was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting? Was there anything like that?
So you asked the question and then you said something, then you asked a different. Could you please?
Is that the FBI answer to the question? Let me break it up. Let me break it up. Did you ever make any calls to Las Vegas Metropolitan Police to say, hey, we've got some information here that Duane Davis? No. Did you ever make any calls specifically to LAPD to say, hey, I've got this guy on the phone, or he's making some discussions here that he was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting of TUPAC Shakur?
No, I didn't make any calls like that.
And then I'm assuming with regards to Compton PD, did you ever call Compton to talk to somebody like, I don't know, Reggie Wright Sr., the gang guy over there, to say, hey, by the way, one of the guys from your community is saying that he was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting of TUPAC Shakur?
No, I did not.
And I appreciate you breaking that down because I didn't want the jury as well to be confused. Now, in addition to that, you had made mention about the type of volume here, or what the type of volume that Mr. Davis was moving in terms of drugs. I want to make sure I'm clear. What kind of drugs are we talking about?
Cocaine.
Okay. And can you tell us, just in volume, what kind of volume that Mr. Davis was moving at that time?
I can't. be total speculation, based off of what was said in his statements to us.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one where he said something, I believe, to the effect of like 70 kilos at one time, or that he was fronted large amount. I'd have to look. May I refer back to the report?
Sure.
Let's see here.
I know there's one for 60 kilos. I'm just want to make sure the jury understands.
Oh, I'm sorry. Primo Fine Davis, 200 kilos at one time.
Okay.
So fairly large scale.
Did you ever was that ever proven to be true?
That he received that quantity of cocaine at that time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, confidential informants show up on scene, undercover police officers are there.
No, sir.
Anything like that?
No.
So it's literally what he's just telling you, right? In your 302 for this
Yes.
particular time. But no verification whether or not that was true or not.
Regarding that specific transaction, no.
Sure. Or let me make sure I'm clear here. That specific transaction of 200 kilos is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever see or have any understanding of whether he was moving 300 kilos of cocaine every month as a drug dealer?
Did
you ever get any information indicating that he was moving 300 kilograms of cocaine every month?
I did not have that kind of specific information. No.
Now, in terms of Reggie Wright Jr., was there, I would assume that because it's not part of your area, did you refer that information to whoever it is that was part of the task force that would have covered the Compton area?
That would be most likely, yes.
Okay. And in terms of the Compton Police Department, fair to say that at some point they actually disbanded or they were shut down?
Yes, that's accurate.
And that would have been at what year?
I
Roughly?
don't remember specifically. It was somewhere in the late 90s, I believe, or early 2000.
Okay. And why did they get disbanded?
I don't know these specifics. I know there was numerous allegations of corruption and such and things like that in the department. Organizational, structural problem deficiencies.
Your Honor, may I have a brief moment?
Yeah.
So you shared a little bit about the next time that you meet Mr. Davis, and that was at the prison.
Correct.
And it's you and your partner still, Special Agent Holiday.
Yes.
And you go to that meeting, and he's sitting down and having a conversation with you, right?
Mr. Davis, yes.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm clear. How much did you actually arrest him with in terms of the cocaine that he had? I mean, I'm assuming at some point he gets caught with cocaine, right?
That's incorrect. No.
Okay. So what happens?
So are you specific the specific case that we had him charged with
Yes.
and arrested? Actually, no, he was not caught with any actual cocaine. We intercepted conversations between him and another individual where they discussed a transaction before the price, quantity, and then there were discussions after the delivery. And then there was even discussion, what kind of prompted more of the discussion. There was the two individuals had, Mr. Davis and the other individual had a discrepancy over the quantity, the actual volume of the amount of cocaine.
Okay. And outside of that, nothing to your recollection that was more specific about anything to do with the cocaine. Like he never actually got caught with it. He was just having conversations about it.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, in addition to that, when you're part of the task force, you are looking for potential issues with regards to violence. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in this particular case, had you ever come across any information in your wiretaps or anything like that of Mr. Davis putting out a hit on someone or green lighting some type of violent act to be caused against somebody?
No.
No. And that would have been part of it would have been maybe an enhancement under the sentencing guidelines in terms of if you're looking at increasing his amount of time is that, hey, he's also doing something in furtherance of, his self.
Violent activity and things of that nature, we would definitely be looking for, yes.
Right. And in this particular case, you don't have any proof of that at all. No facts to that.
Of him being violent?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Now, there's a discussion here that Darnell Brin was identified as potentially the leader of the Southside Crips. You recall that? It should be
Yes.
at the end of the second 302 that you have.
Yes.
Now, in terms of that, did you ever verify that information as to whether or not Mr. Davis was lying or not about that?
No, I did not personally verify that.
And so as of this particular moment, as you're sitting here right now, do you have any facts at all that establishes that Mr. Davis was a shot caller or the leader of the Southside Crips?
Could you repeat that the way you phrased
Meaning,
it?
do you have any facts? Do you have something that says he said out on the phone, I don't know what they do. They attended a meeting. I mean, it's like,
I mean, with these gang organizations, there's not like membership cards and things of that nature. It's not like they've got a organized org chart of who is the president, vice president, and this and that nature for the most part. A lot of times it is just word on the street, who runs this area, who's in charge. And it was the way we assessed that Mr. Davis was one of the leaders of the Southside Compton Crips was a totality of information we'd received from numerous informants, witness statements, and things of that nature,
And
wiretaps and things like that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. You done?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would imagine that because Mr. Davis was a drug dealer, that the money that he was bringing in was probably the reason why he was considered to be a leader in the Southside Crips.
Because of the money that he was bringing in.
Well, I mean the drugs, right? I mean that's
Well,
really
the volume
value.
of drugs. Yeah, I mean, the leader, the guys who are moving the most weight, the high volume drug sales are going to be generally speaking, the leaders.
Right.
They're the ones that the other guys are going to go to get their quantities and things like that for sales.
Sure. And in this particular case, that's the presumption, right? It's because Mr. Davis was a drug dealer, he would be considered with some status within the Southside Crips.
Well, I wouldn't call it a presumption. Again, it's a totality of statements from other individuals and the information that we got. I mean, it wasn't the fact that he was a drug dealer that all of a sudden alerted us and said he must be a high-level Southside Compton Crip. It was a totality of information from our investigation.
Sure. Now, the word presumption, what does that mean, by the way?
Presumption that you presume, you're making an assumption.
But it's a little bit better than that, right? There are some facts that support whatever it is that you are throwing out there as the.
That can be the case, yes.
Now, in this particular regard, you talk a little bit about the Lakewood incident, right? It's in your report, I think, and I want to make sure on your 302, this would be, and so if you run across it before I do, this would be page 4 of your 302, the date 7/14/98. You see where I'm at? It would be maybe the third, the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down.
The Lakewood, are you referring to at the mall?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
In terms of your presumption, the idea of the presumption, you're telling us that there is some facts that help you to have that presumption, right? Some facts. Can you tell us what facts you have to support that there was even a Lakewood incident that occurred?
I'm sorry. You're asking what facts?
Sure.
We have several witness statements.
Okay, so you have several witness statements. You are aware that those allegedly, and according to what you write yourself, this was a couple weeks before the murder of TUPAC Shakur. Marcus, who lived at the Southside Crip neighborhood, was in a mall by himself. A number of Blood Street gang members attacked Marcus and began beating him. Orlando Anderson, and then others approached the situation, observed what was happening, then went to the aid of Marcus. They beat up the blood gang members. That's what you wrote in your 302, right?
That's for true, man.
Now, in terms of that information, did you ever go to the mall to verify that there was this thing that happened a couple of weeks before the murder of TUPAC Shakur, which would have been sometime in August of 1996? Did you ever do that?
No, I did not.
Now, in fairness to you, sir, Lakewood Mall and that area is governed by a police department. I don't, is it Compton or is it the next one over? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been Compton.
Okay, so where was the next one? Did you ever, any part, reach out to that police department to say, hey, can you get us the information on this so we can verify it before we put it into our 302? That the, a couple of weeks before the murder of TUPAC Shakur, there was a beating that took place. Did you ever do that?
Okay, so your statement regarding doing it before we put in that was information that was provided to us by Mr. Davis. So at that time, we're just recording what Mr. Davis is telling us.
Sure.
So this is a follow-up investigation upon that.
Sure, but the state has now introduced this document in as an exhibit for the jury to consider. You're telling us that you can't verify the information in it?
I'm telling you what Mr. Davis told us.
Okay, but you cannot verify that information. You're telling us right now you didn't verify the information that he told you.
I didn't verify that specific event.
Okay. Do you know if your partner did?
I'm not sure. If you're referring to Mr. Holliday,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate yes or no.
No, and I appreciate you doing that. I don't want you to do that either. Okay. Now, Mr. Davis is in prison during this time. At some point in the future, you had mentioned that he was in there April 20th, 1999, something like that?
During the second interview. Yes.
Right. Now, did you at any point ever look at his, while he was in there, how he was doing, anything like that? Any write-ups he might have had while he was in there, anything like that?
From the penitentiary?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
And then finally, just one final thing here. There was some mention in your 302, and I apologize for bouncing you back, but I'm taking you back to the July 14th, 1998 302. But in that 302, there was an allegation, or at least some information that you documented that stated that Reggie Wright Jr. Was dealing drugs out of a auto shop called the Untouchables Auto Shop, owned by Melvin Hurd. Do you recall that? That's actually on the top of page 4.
Yes.
Do you know why that's important and why you included that in your 302?
Well, activity regarding Reggie Wright Jr., Reggie Wright Sr., these individuals in Compton and things like that would have been important. They were being documented. Mr. Davis provided us that information. So again, this is also information that would be utilized for for consideration by the U.S. Attorney's Office and things like that. So all of the information is important.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, sir. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Any redirect, Mr. Straka?
Just briefly, you have both of those.
Yes.
302s in front of you, right?
So let's start with the July 14th, 98 one. It specifically says in the first paragraph, also, it was understood that the information provided by Davis during the interview would not be used by the FBI in a way which would disclose to individuals outside the FBI that the information came from Davis.
Correct.
So other FBI personnel may have learned about this, but certainly you wouldn't be calling Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and telling them, hey, guess what Duane Davis just told me?
That's correct.
Yeah,
there's a confidentiality portion of the proffer agreement that this is it's offered in a way to elicit information and saying, hey, what you tell us here is not going to be told to anybody, and we won't divulge that you're the one providing this information and things of that nature.
And you're there talking to him, in your case is about a drug case. It's not about TUPAC Shakur. that just happens to be a subject that comes up in the conversation.
That's correct.
It's not your responsibility. Well, let me ask you this. TUPAC Shakur is killed in the state of Nevada, the county of Clark. Who prosecutes murder cases usually for street level shootings in Clark County?
That would be like Las Vegas Metro PD, the DA's office here in Las Vegas.
The state of Nevada. It's not
No,
a
that's
federal
correct.
crime to commit a murder in Las Vegas in most situations.
That's correct.
And so you're just gathering this information, and you did what you promised, which was keep it confidential until such time as you were authorized by the U.S. Attorney to
Right.
talk about it. The only other thing I want to ask you about is Mr. Samt there is a difference between proffer and immunity. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What Mr. Davis was telling you, you wouldn't use against him, correct?
Correct.
There wasn't any sort of immunity for any crimes that he disclosed. You just couldn't use the statements that he made to you to prosecute him for those particular crimes.
That's correct.
And that it was an agreement between the United States Attorney's Office and Mr. Davis.
That's correct.
At no point in here did the state of Nevada, the Clark County District Attorney's Office, or any agency other than the U.S. Attorney's Office make an agreement with Mr. Davis about these 302s.
That's correct.
Nothing further.
Any recross based on that, Mr. Samt?
I'm sorry, what was that last question again? I'm trying to figure that out. Hey, so you're telling us, you're giving us information right now about your knowledge of what the other law enforcement agencies had agreements on or not? How do you know that?
I didn't give that information. I didn't say that.
So can we repeat that last question?
We don't have
All right,
that
well,
capability. We can
let me-
pause and show you.
No, that's right. I just want to get to the point. What Mr. DiGiacomo just asked you was that, there were no other agreements with regard to your agreement. Your agreement was the sole agreement between yourself and Mr. Davis, or FBI and Mr. Davis, and no other.
The United
entity.
States Attorney's Office and Mr. Davis.
I apologize. The United States Attorney's Office and Mr. Davis, and no other entity, right? I think that's how it was put,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You don't know that, though. Did you, when you? What?
Sustained stricken, you can ask a question.
You are not aware of any agreements between with other agencies because you just don't know. You are just here on behalf of the federal government and the FBI, right?
With regard to the interview that myself and Todd Holiday conducted
Right.
with Mr. Davis on July 14th, 1998, the agreement was between the United States Attorney's Office with the FBI there and Mr. Davis. Nobody else was party to that.
Even though this was a joint task force, this was part of.
No, it was a joint task force. It was the United States Attorney's Office, the FBI, and Mr. Davis.
Okay, and with regards to that task force, even though other government agencies were potentially involved in the task force, they weren't involved with regards to this agreement, the proffer. They weren't part of the proffer, is what you're saying, even though it's part of a task force.
Correct.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. DiGiacomo? No. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? We do have some. All right, a couple questions from our jurors. If the proper information was never followed up on, what was the motivation behind the interview in jail or prison?
You want me to go ahead and answer?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
I'm sorry. Okay.
they have these questions. I'm
Right.
asking you to answer them.
Okay, so the motivation behind the interview in the subsequent interview in '99, we were following up on other investigation. Because when you go through the 302, you see we asked about several individuals, or we actually showed them pictures of other individuals. A lot of times what we'll do is we were going back because he was cooperative and open before. We were attempting to see he would verify other individuals, perhaps identities and things of that nature of other investigative activity regarding gang activity in the area.
Okay. And then did anyone with the FBI verify information given by Davis in the proffer?
I mean, the totality regarding the totality of there was quite a bit of information when we asked about certain individuals and things that he said that we already knew. So because he provided information during the proffer session, there wasn't a need to necessarily go back and verify because we had an idea about the answer to the question. Sort of like you ask a question that you know the answer to, that's how you know if somebody's lying. You start off with that, things like that, simple things, and then you kind of work your way in to other information. So there was a lot of information that we already had other corroborated information on. So when he's providing that information, we have a general idea whether or not he's being open and candor and truthful based off of other investigation, whether it's surveillance, wiretaps, witness statements, and things of that nature.
And you might have already answered this, that's the second part of the question, so I'm going to ask it. What information was followed up on by the FBI that was given in Davis's proffer, if you're able to disclose it?
What other?
What information was followed up on by the FBI that was given in Davis's proffer that you're able to disclose?
So, I mean, it's been 30 years. It'd be very difficult for me to follow up on every single aspect. Again, a lot of the information, because it's historical, some of these things that he's talking about went back several years prior to into the early 90s period. So he's talking about, prior drug transactions and things of that nature. It's very difficult or almost impossible to truly verify those types of things. Other things that he talked about, for example, like recordings that were played or photos that he was shown of individuals where he identified and said, this is so-and-so, that corroborates what, individuals that we know and things of that nature. So there were things that were done. Was there a specific checklist, a tasking list that was put out after that interview, the proper interview, to go out and say, go verify? That's really not the way we operate. Usually these files have hundreds of documents in them over the course of an investigation. There's hours and hours and countless hours of wiretaps and things of that nature. So we've got a very voluminous amount of information to go back and check and things that along the way. So at this point, he was already indicted, arrested, and basically going towards either trial or sentencing. The proffer agreement really was an opportunity for him to help himself on sentencing. And then for us to maybe, if he wanted to cooperate and things like that, to possibly open up further avenues of investigation for other individuals who weren't in custody or that were still under investigation.
All right, Mr. DiGiacomo, any follow-up based on those answers and those questions? Mr. Stamps?
No, you aren't.
Okay, all right. You are free to go. Thank you so much. Sorry. Just leave them right there. Mr. DiGiacomo will pick them up.
I'll grab them. Thank you.
Are those our exhibits?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, for sure. All right, statement call the next witness.
Darren Dupree.
Not before we do that, maybe a question.
Sure. All right, at this time, we are going to take a restroom break for 15 minutes. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected to this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected to the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll have you guys back here at 3:15. Please rise for the jury. For the record, the jury has exited the room. We'll be in recess.
Thank you.
All right, Truth Fam, what you thinking so far? I see a lot of new supporters, a lot of new subscribers. This is your host, Jody G. All right, Truth Fam, what you thinking so far? I see a lot of new supporters, a lot of new subscribers. We are here live every day with the TUPAC trial. I am boots on the ground in Las Vegas, reporting live from the courtroom. If you are new to the channel, we had a live stream this morning and we'll have one every day, 1 hour before trial starts. And it'll include myself, different defense attorneys, prosecutors, eyewitnesses in Las Vegas, and everybody associated with the TUPAC case. We want to give a couple really wonderful shout outs to people sending all the super chats in and all of the jewels. Quick shout out to God Akuma Rose. She sent us a $20 support. We love you. We thank you. And we're gifting you a free channel membership. Also, Lamar Law 89, Naughty Girl 09, I Am King 333 sent us jewels and became a new subscriber. We want to thank you so much for being a part of Truth Talks Live. We are here every night, Monday through Friday, with Truth Talks Live, starring Dr. Cheyenne Bryant and Torre. We are also here every day live for the TUPAC trial, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, and I believe that's around 3 or 4 Eastern Standard Time. We are here. And we'll be taking all your comments in the chat. Hit us in the chat right now if you think they're going to be able to prove Keefe D is guilty. Remember, keep in mind, there are no live eyewitnesses to testify against him. There is no murder weapon. There is no direct forensics. All of the things that you would expect to find in a criminal trial like this are missing because, one, all of the people that were in the car supposedly and allegedly with Keefe D are deceased. A lot of the other people involved in the criminal investigation are deceased. And so the prosecution is sort of strapped because they can't find too many live eyewitnesses, which benefits the defense. A lot of people think Keefe D is the fall guy. If you think he's the fall guy, hit us in the chat, #fall guy. A lot of folks believe the LAPD as well as the Las Vegas PD had something to do with setting Keefe D up. If you think the police had something to do with this, hit us in the chat and let us know what you're thinking. It's going to be very difficult to convict Keefe D without live witnesses, live forensics, hard evidence, or a murder weapon. That's our opinion. Catch us again tomorrow morning before the trial starts. We have a daily recap with attorney Gerald Griggs, attorney Josh Schiffer, and me, your host, Jody G. I'm broadcasting live here from Las Vegas. Sorry for any technical difficulties, but we are here, boots on the ground, reporting about Tupac Shakur's murder trial. We'll be right back. And please note, anytime you hear silence, that's because this particular court mutes their audio that they send to us every time somebody talks to the judge or the attorneys approach the bench. So don't adjust your audio. It's not you, it's them. We'll be right back. Stand by. Hey, truth tellers, it's Jody G again. Hit us in the chat also if you think Suge Knight will be testifying. He's on the eyewitness list as well as Diddy. Now, we all know Suge Knight is in prison. Diddy is in prison until next year. Do either of them have anything to gain by testifying? We had Gerald Griggs on earlier today, and he felt like the defense for both of those gentlemen and those eyewitnesses would tell them not to testify and plead the fifth because they might incriminate themselves. But with Suge Knight being there in the car and being one of the only living witnesses, do you think he will be propelled to testify? Hit us in the chat if you think Suge Knight will be testifying. We also think Tupac's the GOAT, 96 Impala. Shout out to Manga Joe. If you're King 333, then yes, sir, we saw you coming. Hello to Mr. Nice 2525, Patrick Key 87, Frederick Hayes 4624. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe because we need to keep our algorithm going. And we're going to be sending you right back to the trial. You're watching the Tupac murder trial with Duane Keefe D. Davis on trial for murder.
Parties stipulate to the presence of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. All right, now the state can call their next witness.
Darren Dupree.
Good afternoon. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated. And if you please state your full name and then spell it for the record.
Darren, Daryn, Dupree, Dupree.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, state, you may proceed.
Thank you. Sir, how did you used to be employed?
I was a detective for the Los Angeles Police Department,
How long were you with the LAPD?
33 and a half years
And when did you start?
in 1990.
And through the majority of your career, what kind of crimes did you focus on?
Homicides, gang homicides.
I'm going to direct your attention to approximately 2006. Were you asked to be part of a task force related to the Christopher Wallace murder?
Yes, I was.
And can you describe that task force for us?
Robbery homicide, homicide specials, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, FBI, ATF, and DEA were all a part of the task force.
And was there a precipitating event that caused the 2006 task force to be formed?
Yeah, Christopher Wallace's mother filed a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Police Department
And what was the allegation in the lawsuit?
that there was police officer involvement in his death.
LA police officer involvement?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of the 2006 task force?
To uncover, first of all, if there was any police officer involvement, and also to hopefully solve the Biggie Smalls murder case.
Now, by 2008, this is 11 years after the homicide. I assume that there was records that the LAPD would have gathered initially in the investigation in the ensuing 11 years that you had access to.
Yes.
Did you guys, or did the task force formulate a plan as to how you were going to go about investigating the Christopher Wallace murder?
There was rumors that this was a war between Southside Compton Crips and Mob Piru, Puffy Combs label, Bad Boy, and Death Row Records. So we started there, and that consisted of coming to Vegas, getting all their files, getting up to speed on the TUPAC murder. Although we weren't investigating it, we just wanted to get up to speed on it. And then starting there, everybody was a suspect at that time in the Biggie Smalls murder.
At the time you come to Vegas and learn what information the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is, who is the detective that you're having the contact with from Metro?
Detective Dan Long.
At some point, you go back, you begin investigating. Did you have any suspects that you identified and wanted to potentially look at?
From the initial investigation, Southside Compton Crips possibly had something to do with the murder because they weren't paid for the TUPAC murder, and then also Death Row Records, that they were involved because of the retaliation for the TUPAC murder. So, like I said, everybody was a suspect at that time.
During the course of the investigation, did you at some point focus on a person identified as Duane Davis?
Yes.
Do you see Mr. Davis here in court today?
Yes.
You point him out, describe something with Duane.
He's at the fence table with a blue shirt and a multicolored tie.
May the record reflect the identification of the defendant.
Is he wearing a jacket or no jacket? No jacket.
No jacket.
So reflected.
How is it that, how is it that you target Mr. Davis?
The vehicle used in the Christopher Wallace murder was a Impala. Mr. Davis had an Impala, and they had impounded it early on in the investigation. So we started with him.
And did you have information related to what his position was in the Southside Crips?
I mean, we knew that Mr. Davis was the man with all the money in their hood, in their neighborhood.
Now, you said that you, well, what was your role in the task force?
I was the lowest level, bottom of the food chain detective. I was a gang expert, and I knew a little bit about the rap industry. So that was my.
That's how you got brought in.
Yes.
The Southside Crips, did they have kind of two crews associated with them?
As far as I know, yes.
And one of those crews, the Burr Street crew, who was that sort of generally headed by?
It was Keefe amongst others.
The Glencoe crew, who was sort of the leader of that group?
From what we gathered, Duane.
How is it that you're going to go about investigating Mr. Davis for the Biggie Smalls murder? What's your plan?
I had never worked with the DEA, FBI. I was a homicide investigator coming in. So above my pay grade, they tried to figure out a way to get leverage on Mr. Davis through narcotic sales. We would bring him in after we caught him with narcotics and see if he would work with us and give us information on the Biggie Smalls case.
And were you able to gather enough information to potentially arrest and charge him with narcotics?
Yes.
And how much narcotics are we talking about here?
From what I remember, it was PCP, a gallon, and a kilo of cocaine, if I'm not mistaken.
And with Mr. Davis's past criminal history, as well as that amount or weight of drugs, what kind of sentence was he looking at for that type of drugs?
As I said, I wasn't familiar with the Fed system. From what I was told, though, that was a life sentence with the amount of drugs that were confiscated.
So once you've gathered all this evidence, do you do anything to indicate to Mr. Davis that you've got your leverage?
We met with him.
And who's we?
Me and Detective Greg Cady.
And where did that meeting take place?
If I recall, it was at Mr. Davis's residence, maybe in Rancho Cucamonga or Corona. I forget the location. And we sat in his garage and we advised him of what we had. And we get an attorney and we'll meet with you a couple days later in LA at the Fed building and we'll discuss it more.
Now, was there a suggestion to Mr. Davis that he shouldn't use a lawyer by the name of Edie Fall?
I don't know anything about that.
Does there come a point in time when you wind up at a meeting with Mr. Davis and his lawyer?
Yes.
And that first meeting, what are you there to talk to Mr. Davis about?
To show him the evidence that we had against him, the video surveillance that we did a lot of surveillance on him, to show him everything we had and what he was looking, to receive as a case against him.
So do you eventually wind up in a meeting with his lawyer in either the lawyer's office or a police station to talk to him about that?
I think that first meeting was at the AUSA's office in downtown Los Angeles with him and his attorney and about 4 or 5 people from the task force.
And was there your understanding as to what the circumstances of what you could and couldn't use against Mr. Davis about what he's talking to you about?
Yes. And again, I'm just in the room. I never even been in the AUSA's office at that time. So I'm just observing what's going on.
Did anyone use the term, this is a proffer?
Yes.
And Was that agreement between the AUSA? Do you remember that AUSA's name?
Timothy Seawright.
And do you remember the attorney for Mr. Davis? His name.
Wayne Higgins.
And so there was an agreement in that first meeting that this would be a proffer.
Yes.
And during the course of that, do you ask Mr. Davis about his involvement in the Biggie Smalls murder?
Yes.
And what is his response?
At that time, he said, no, we didn't have anything to do with that.
When he said we didn't have anything to do with that one, did that trigger anything in your mind as to what he was saying?
When I recall, yes, we were like, that one, what do you mean? And then he
What was
said,
it?
we did the other one.
He said we did the other one. And so at that point, what did you think he was talking about?
Me personally, the only other one was Tupac. But we had nothing, we didn't think he was, we were talking about Christopher Wallace. We didn't ask him any questions about Tupac. He offered that on his own.
And so when he does that, is there some discussion then of maybe having a conversation about Tupac?
It was a surprise to us. Number one, we were shook. We were surprised. Yes. I mean, I don't know if we shut that meeting down then to discuss what we were going to do. I don't remember, but we were surprised.
Does there come a point in time when there's a meeting set for December 18th of 2008 to talk to Mr. Davis about the TUPAC Shakur murder?
Yes.
In your understanding, was that still based upon the agreement between Wayne Higgins and the U.S. Attorney that it would be a proffer session?
Yes.
At that point, before having this conversation with Mr. Davis, has anybody notified Las Vegas that Mr. Davis is going to be talking about the TUPAC Shakur murder?
Unfortunately, no.
Were you present on December 18th for an interview with Mr. Davis about the TUPAC Shakur murder?
Yes.
And did you subsequently learn, or previously learn, but subsequently learn that that conversation was recorded?
Yes.
Do you know who recorded that statement?
One of the members of the task force, Bill Holcomb.
Did there come a point in time where you heard that recording?
Yes.
And Judge, I have marked as state proposed exhibit 117, which is the actual recording, and 110, which is the transcript of that recording, and I'll form it this time.
Any objection?
I think this briefing currently still lacking foundation with regards to that. The answer, the question that was asked was like, do you recognize the recording?
Okay, do you want to play
I can play part of
maybe
that
the
recording
first
for Detective
couple
Keefe.
seconds and see if he recognizes it?
Yeah, there's
Not gonna
some
get-
walking in time, so we'll just
Well,
have to pull it
When
forward.
people
a little
actually
bit.
talk.
Yeah. I'll just jump forward. Hopefully. My volume off?
People or his associates, that's not a concern to us.
Yeah.
If you had told Mike, we would have talked to him. We would have talked to him.
Okay, another,
Does that sound like the conversation that was happening on December 18th, 2008 with Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And who was present at this besides yourself that you recall?
The lead detective, Detective Greg Kading. He was mostly in charge. Bill Holcomb and me. That's all I can remember.
Was Wayne Higgins present as well?
Wayne Higgins was there, and I'm sorry, so was Mr. Davis, of course.
And do you recall where this conversation took place?
It might have been at Wayne Higgins' office.
As I once again reoffer 117 and 110.
Did you want to show him 110 to verify that is the transcript of it?
Oh, you want me to-
Well, that was the objection, was that
Oh,
the foundation wasn't accurate. And we talked about the first item, but not the second.
then you take a look at that. You can read through as much as it is you need to. That appear to be a transcription of that particular meeting.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's it.
Move to admit 110 and 117.
Any objection, Mr. Stamp?
No, Your Honor.
They will be admitted.
The jury is gonna hear the entire thing at some point. But generally speaking, what was Mr. Davis's version of events as it relates to what happened with TUPAC SHAKUR?
Mr. Davis stated that his nephew, Mr. Orlando Anderson, was jumped and beat up in a club or in a hotel in Las Vegas after the Tyson fight. He came and told Mr. Davis what happened. They went looking for Tupac, Suge, anybody who was involved, basically, in the beatdown of Mr. Anderson. And they couldn't find him at first, and then they saw him, and basically, Mr. Davis had the gun at first, but they came up on the passenger side of Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur's vehicle, so he couldn't shoot across the driver. So he handed the gun to Dre in the back seat, Andre Smith. He was afraid to shoot. Mr. Anderson grabbed the gun and shot across Mr. Smith into Mr. Knight's car that Mr. TUPAC SHAKUR was in with Mr. Knight.
And did he tell you what kind of vehicle he was in?
In a white Cadillac,
Did he tell you what kind of gun was used?
a 40 cal car.
And did he tell you after the shooting where the car went? If you recall. If you don't recall.
I don't recall.
After receiving this information in March of 2009, does the task force sign Mr. Davis up as a confidential informant?
Yes.
And once you sign him up as a confidential informant, what is it that you want to do with Mr. Davis?
Figure out ways to see if he's telling the truth about his story about what happened.
And so what do you do?
Mr. Davis had a narcotics friend in New York by the name of Equan Williams, Zip. He said he could, this is a lot deeper than that. Sean Puffy Combs was supposed to have given money to Zip Martin to give to Mr. Davis for payment of the Tupac murder. Fast forward, we go to Mr. Davis. He says he can rekindle that relationship with Mr. Zip Martin and get him to talk about the money that was given from Sean Puffy Combs to Mr. Martin that never got to Mr. Davis.
And did you guys or Mr. Davis come up with a plan to get leverage on Mr. Williams, Zip? What was the idea?
Me, Detective Kading, ATF Jim Black, and Keefe D, Mr. Davis, flew to New York so Mr. Davis can work undercover to try to rekindle that friendship and business relationship with Zip.
And when Mr. Davis goes in to, do you remember the name of the club?
It's called the Zip Code in Harlem.
Does he in fact meet with Zip?
Zip, he did, but from what we gathered from Mr. Davis told us, he passed him off to his nephew, meaning Zip passed him off to his nephew to do business with him. Zip had cancer or something like that. He was sickly. He said he wasn't in the business no more, something like that. So it didn't work.
So he was unable to reestablish a business relationship and do a drug deal with Zip so that you would have leverage to then talk to Zip about what Mr. Davis.
Objection, Your Honor, leave.
I'm just confirming the information
Your
you just
response?
provided. What?
You're just confirming that the information that you just were provided is what?
I'm just confirming the information that he just testified to.
So then, overruled. You may answer.
Yes, he couldn't rekindle the relationship.
And so you come back from New York.
Yes.
At some point, does the LAPD establish whether or not LAPD officers were involved in the murder of Mr. Wallace?
We found out that there was not any police officer involved.
And eventually, Mrs. Wallace's lawsuit is resolved.
Yes, it does.
At some point, are you directed to attend a meeting involving Wayne Higgins, Duane Davis, and Dan Long, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department investigator on TUPAC SHAKUR?
Yes.
And on September 9th of 2009, did you in fact attend that interview?
Yes.
And was that recorded?
Yes.
This morning, did you listen to portions of that to confirm that is in fact a copy of the 2009 audio recording?
Yes.
And if I approach you, I forgot this one. Showing you 111, if you flip that over, take a look at it. Does that appear to be a transcript of that 2009 interview?
Yes.
Move to admit 111 and 118.
Any objections?
No objection. Your Honor.
So admitted.
Finally, and I forgot to do this, during the conversation on December 18th of 2008, did you have some sort of chart that was put in front of Mr. Davis where he identified where people were in various vehicles?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as state's proposed exhibit number 147. Is that a copy of the chart that you had prior to the December 18th, 2008?
Yes.
Move to admit.
Any objection?
Objection.
So admitted.
Thank you, sir. I passed the witness.
Cross-examination, Mr. Swift.
It's 2.5 hours. I don't play with him on the stand.
Mr. Dupree, we had some conversations here about what you did on this case. Did you ever write any reports on this?
Sure I did. Yeah.
When you say you're sure it did you review any reports in preparation for your testimony here today?
I think I reviewed one report.
Which report did you review?
It was a DEA 6 passing the case over to Las Vegas Metro.
And with regard to that report, did you draft that report yourself?
Yes.
When you say it's a DEA 6, is that a form?
Yes.
Is that a form used by the DEA agency, I guess would be the Drug Enforcement Agency?
Yes.
Did you write any reports on your own with regards to what you did within the LAPD, umbrella or report writing?
I'm sure I did.
When you say you sure did, are you telling us today that you don't know for sure what reports you wrote?
I'm saying that when you have a cold case, a lot of reports are already written. So you interview people and you do a statement on it, but the majority, this was 2006 when we started, but the murders happened in 1996 and 97. So a lot of the reports were already written.
So with regards to, you're classifying this as a cold case?
Yes.
And what is a cold case to you?
It's a case that takes a long time to solve.
And with regard to the cold case, which are you talking specifically about the murder here, the murder investigation of TUPAC SHAKUR?
I'm talking about when we classified Christopher Wallace's case. I don't know if they classified TUPAC a cold case at that time.
I see. So you were part of the task force specifically on Biggie Smalls, which is called Biggie Smalls.
That's why we started the task force, because of the lawsuit.
All right, and you are classifying that as the cold case.
Yes.
So all your work would have been under the Biggie Smalls investigation, not necessarily under the TUPAC case that we're here for today.
Yes.
And so with regard to your actions on the Biggie Smalls case, a lot of what you're doing sort of blends into, at least some of it blends into the TUPAC investigation, but if that wasn't your investigation.
No.
That was Metro's investigation.
Yes.
Now, on the day that we're talking about here, this would be under the recordings that you had from the 2008 proffer. Did you set those up?
No.
Who set them up?
Probably the lead investigator, Greg Kading.
Okay, and with regards to Greg Kading, you're his partner.
In a task force configuration, you might peel off with one person more than the other. So I would say me and him did a lot of work together.
And with regards to what he is that he's also a fellow LAPD detective.
Yes.
All right. And so with regards to your being, let's say not part of the task force, were you ever his partner outside of the task force?
I met Detective Kading at Wilshire Homicide. Wilshire Homicide is the area that Christopher Wallace was actually killed in. Robbie Homicide inherited the case or took the case because they had more resources to work. Me and Greg worked together at Wilshire Homicide. Greg Kading started this task force and he brought me over years later to this task force.
I see. So up until that point when he brought you over, you guys weren't partners?
No, he was working narcotics. Greg knows the narcotics FBI DEA system very well. I didn't.
All right. And so in terms of your awareness about the TUPAC investigation, when were you first made aware of the TUPAC investigation?
Through the media, as soon as it happened.
Right.
I mean, everybody knew about that.
And in terms of though your involvement or the official, are you telling us it's at the time of the proffer that you become sort of more involved in the TUPAC?
At the time that Mr. Davis offered the information that he offered is when we even thought about doing anything with TUPAC.
But isn't it true though that you actually were more aware, you actually were that Detective Long was the Metro detective on this case as early as 2004?
I didn't start until 2006, so I just knew he was the investigator assigned to the case when I got there.
I see. So as of 2006, you would have been aware that Detective Long was the investigator from Metro?
Maybe 2006, 2007, when we decided to come out to Vegas and gather intel on the TUPAC case, just for investigative reasons.
Okay. And with regards to your participation in the task force, was there a name for the task force?
Christopher Wallace Task Force.
Okay, so it's the Christopher Wallace Task Force. And you first contact Mr. Davis on, looks like November 21st, 2008. Is that about right?
I don't remember the dates, but.
Okay. Now, in terms of your, you're saying though that your review of the evidence in preparation for today's, or your reports in preparation for today's testimony just consisted of the DEA 6 form?
Yes.
Now, at the time of November 21st, 2008, you and Greg Kading are the ones who initially contacted Mr. Davis, right? You didn't do it by yourself.
No, me and Mr. Katie.
Okay. And you basically advised him at that particular point that, you know, he was potentially looking at an indictment for narcotics. Is that right?
Something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah. And once again, you're doing this because you are targeting Mr. Davis because you believe he may have been a suspect in the Biggie Smalls murder.
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, I would assume in the future, you're going to tell all of us that he was no longer a suspect in that murder, right?
That is correct.
You found information that were indicating that the car that was potentially the car used in the Biggie Smalls murder was not his vehicle. Maybe somebody else was there. And there were some issues with regards to his location that he wouldn't have been the one to be the shooter in the case.
Whatever the reasons, I just know he wasn't involved in the Biggie Smalls murder.
Okay. And then with regards to your conversation with Mr. Davis, when you had that conversation at his home, you talked about being in the, I guess, the garage of his home at Rancho Cucamonga. Is that what it was?
I forget the city, but it's southeast.
Okay.
That's where he lived at the time.
And you had at some point told him that maybe he should retain an attorney to handle the issues because he was going to be dealing with the United States Attorney Timothy Sealwright. You remember having that conversation with him?
I don't think we threatened him or anything like that. We just advised him that, hey, man, we got some information, we got some things that you were involved in, and we need to talk to you. So we need to meet with you, with your attorney at the AUSA's office.
Now, at the time that you had that conversation with Mr. Davis, you advised him that not to bring his attorney, which would have been Edie Fall, to that conversation, right?
No.
You advised him to actually bring this other attorney, Wayne Higgins. That would have been a brand new attorney for Mr. Davis, correct?
No, I didn't even know Mr. Higgins at that time.
Now, in terms of your, the meeting, Mr. Higgins shows up with Mr. Davis, and then there's a conversation between Mr. Higgins and Seawright regarding the proffer agreement, but that wasn't with you being present in the room. Fair?
No. I wasn't
Okay.
present.
Now, you had, though, at some point being informed that there was a proffer agreement, and then there was follow-up interviews that occur as a result, right?
That's correct.
So this is just not one interview. This is multiple interviews.
Yes.
Now, can you tell us, for instance, how many interviews there were?
That I was involved in, the first meeting at his house in the garage, the first meeting with the AUSA, and then the meeting at Wayne Higgins. But mind you, like I told you, I flew to New York with Mr. Davis. So we were out there for 3 or 4 days.
I'm talking more about specifically the actual meetings in which you're sitting down and asking questions of Mr. Davis.
2.
So that would be the initial meeting with United States Attorney Seawright in the room. And then the second meeting was, I'm sorry, at what time?
That was with Mr. Higgins at his office on Wilshire Boulevard, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the date.
Okay, would that be October or December 18th,
2008.
2008?
Yes.
Do you recall actually being involved in a meeting or being knowledgeable of a meeting that took place on December 1st, 2008?
No.
How about a meeting that took place on January 7th, 2009?
I don't recall. No.
How about another meeting that occurred on February 11th, 2009?
I don't recall any of those dates.
Okay.
I just remember the 3 that we dealt with.
Right. And once again, you're refreshing your recollection off of a DEA 6 form, correct?
No, I'm refreshing my recollection off my recollection.
30 years later?
That's right. And about 20 murder trials
Right,
of my own.
which is amazing. Good job.
Not amazing, just doing my job.
But let's just make sure we're clear. I want to make sure this jury understands that you're refreshing your recollection off of a DEA 6 form.
No, I told you the DA 6 form that I saw this morning was transferring the case from the DEA to Las Vegas Metro. That's all that said this morning.
All right, so this is all purely off of your recollection from 30 years ago.
Well, 17, 18 years ago when we got it. The
Okay.
case was 30 years ago. So
Right.
we had it in 2006.
And 20 murder trials later,
That's right.
you're refreshing. Okay,
That's right.
so let's keep going through it. So your testimony here is that at the time of the meeting on December 18th, 2008, you were present for that meeting.
Yes.
And the other people that were present for that meeting was Detective Katie, LAPD Detective William Holcomb, FBI Special Agent Bennett.
Yes, I didn't mention him, but he was there, yes.
Okay. And then was anybody else there present?
Mr. Davis and Mr. Higgins.
And then outside of those, was anybody from the United States Attorney's Office present?
At the first one in 2008, I think, not in 2009. For sure, not 2009. I can say that.
Okay, but I want to make sure we're precise for this jury.
Okay.
On December 18, 2008, was the United States Attorney present for that meeting?
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, the recording that had occurred and the one that you've introduced into evidence in this case, was that a recording to which Mr. Davis or his attorney knew about?
Which one, 2008 or 2009?
2008.
2008? I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't know it was being recorded either.
Sure. And with regard to the FBI special agent that was there, are you aware of what's called a 302?
Yes.
What is a 302?
It's a report, information report that they write out, kind of like the DEA 6, kind of.
Yeah. And then in terms of how the 302 works is they don't actually record information with a recorder. They actually just write things down into the 302, right?
That's correct.
In this particular case, was Special Agent Bennett aware that there was a recording?
I have no idea.
Now, in addition to that, on March 9th, you had said that something that he was, I guess, activated as a confidential informant. So I think it's around that time period, right, of 2009. Between what time periods did Mr. Davis give information to LAPD as a confidential informant? Do you remember?
I don't remember how many times we met or how many times I was involved in speaking to him, but it's just those 3 times. The first time in his garage, 2008, 2009, and then when we went to New York. That's all my dealings with Mr. Davis was that I can remember.
Okay. Now, the December 2008 proffer that you were part of, did you verify any of the information?
That Mr. Davis told us?
Yeah.
We were trying to verify as much as we could.
Okay.
That's why
Well,
we
tell us the efforts. No, I'm sorry. Can you tell this jury the efforts that you made to verify the information that he gave you in 2008?
flying to New York to try to get the relationship with Zip, Mr. Martin, because he was involved here in Vegas with the murder and the large sum of money that was supposed to be given to Mr. Martin to give to Mr. Davis. So that's why we flew to New York to try to get that whole thing going.
Right. And based upon your efforts in New York, were you able to verify that any of that information to be true?
No.
Now, in addition to that, there was other information that Mr. Davis gave up in 2008 in December. Did you verify any of that other information to be true?
I don't think any other information that he gave us was anything except the murder of Tupac.
Sure. Did you at any point verify, for instance, the people that he identified in the vehicle?
No.
You are aware, of course, that some of the people that he had identified in the vehicle were still alive in 2008, right?
One was.
Who was that?
That was Terrence Brown.
Okay. Did you ever verify that Terrence Brown was in Las Vegas at the time of the murder?
We never got a chance to.
Why not?
As I said, our first course of action was to tie in Mr. Combs, the money, and work back from there.
So you fly to New York, it's a bust, you fly back, and then you never follow up on what happens with regard to Mr. Brown?
Well, I didn't.
You're part of the task force.
Yes.
Do you know if anybody else on the task force verified that information, that Mr. Brown was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting?
No.
Now, in addition to that, we talked a little bit about the type of scenario that Mr. Davis is in, right? He's being targeted as a potential suspect in the Biggie Smalls murder, you develop information about him being a drug dealer, right? And you had said, I think how much time was he looking at? Life sentence?
I think so, yes.
Right, pretty heavy sentence, right?
Yes.
And so you had also targeted the idea, though, that it wasn't just him moving some large amount. It was people coming into his house, potentially his family. People could be arrested, his friends, for instance, that was part of that, and they all could go to prison, right?
I will say this, Mr. Davis took the hit for a lot of people in his family and his kids, his wife, but that's why he did a lot of the stuff he did. I will say that.
And I appreciate you saying that. And so in essence, he said, okay, this is all on me. I will take the hit for the family.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the way that you recall how he describes what happens and so forth, you had mentioned that he's in the car, he drives up next to the other car, and then he gives the gun to the back seat because he was going to do the shooting. And then he gives it to somebody else. And then I guess it was Dre said, no, I can't do it. And then Orlando fires the gun.
Yes.
Okay. So the four individuals that in the car would have been Mr. Davis and then Mr. Brown,
Driver.
and then Mr. Smith, and then Mr. Orlando Anderson.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you, at some point, these people come back to Compton, right? Were there any, as far as you know, did anyone attempt to kill Orlando for being the shooter in the vehicle of TUPAC Shakur?
I don't know if anyone tried to kill Mr. Anderson, but a lot of other people got shot and killed.
Sure. And so what other people that you recall were being shot and killed?
I don't have the list of people who I know. Darnell Graham got shot, and then an 11-year-old girl got shot. Off the top of my head, I can remember those two. It was war. Compton's 10 square miles, and all of these people know each other from growing up. It was people standing, they were hiding out, walking the streets.
But in terms of the four that's in the vehicle, was Mr. Smith shot?
No, not that I know of.
And what about the other person, besides Mr. Davis?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Not that I know of. No.
And then with regards to Mr. Davis, was he shot at?
No, not that I know of.
And once again, this idea is we're talking about a very compact area of Las Vegas, 10 by 10 miles, multiple blood and Crip gangs just encroached upon one another, right?
Yeah.
Basically like a powder keg.
Street by street.
Right. And in terms of retribution, pretty clear this would be an immediate thing because TUPAC Shakur was shot and killed.
Yes.
And Death Row Records, as a member of the mob Pyru, would have been definitely out for blood on that.
Yes.
But none of those four individuals were shot at.
No, not that I know of.
Yeah. And in fact, just to make sure I'm clear, Orlando Anderson was actually shot and killed probably about a year and a half later, right?
Unrelated, yes.
Yes. And it was unrelated, meaning that people that he got into a gunfight with was actually other Crips,
Yes.
right? And it was over money, as far as you can recall.
Yes.
Now, there was some discussion. Are you aware of a person by the name of Darnell Brim?
Yes.
Darnell Brim is, and I think there was some discussion about there's two different sets in the Southside Crips.
Yes.
One set was the Burr Street set.
Correct.
And that would be Burr Street where Mr. Davis lived on.
Yes.
As well as members of his family and so forth, right?
Yes.
The other set was the set that Darnell Brim was in charge of.
From what I hear. I never worked Compton PD, but from what I hear, yes.
Okay. And with regards to Mr. Brim, he was killed pretty much immediately after the shooting of TUPAC Shakur.
Mr. Grimm is still alive as far as I know.
Oh, you're right. He was shot though, right?
He was shot.
And then he went to prison for some unrelated matter, something to do with drugs.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of Mr. Brim, was there ever a conversation with Mr. Brim to determine or have questions asked with regards to TUPAC Shakur?
When we started, again, I started in 2006. Those questions would have been initially asked of Mr. Grimm. when he was shot in 96, 97. Those types of things we could have gotten to, but like I said, our first course of action was to solidify where the money came from. If Mr. Combs was involved, and was Mr. Davis telling the truth about being paid for the murder of TUPAC Shakur.
And outside of that, any additional sort of boots in the ground discussions or investigation in Compton was handled by somebody else?
The initial, the preliminary.
Right.
And if we would have gotten to that, we probably would have talked to people, but I'm sure that they were talked to already. This is on a Fed level trying to get a RICO case against people. Okay, this is a whole different level of Compton.
Sure.
This is FBI, ATF, DEA. This is trying to solidify that Death Row Records and was built on narcotics and Bad Boy Records. Now, you don't understand this, but I'm from the hood. Everybody knows it was, okay? Everybody knows that those record companies were started with the sales of narcotics. So the feds were looking at a RICO. We cared about the murders. So this was chasing the money. This was chasing Sean Combs to see if he was involved with, the hit on Mr. Shakur.
And so once you determine that, he's given information, not because of Biggie Smalls, but rather because of Shakur, you never once reached out to Metro at that time to say, hey, Las Vegas, you guys are the ones in charge of this murder. Come down to have an interview with Davis?
The decisions were, again, way above my pay grade. And our command staff, whoever made that decision to keep it in-house and for us to handle it on the Fed level, because it would have spread all the way to Las Vegas and not notify Las Vegas Metro at that time, wasn't my decision.
I see. So had it been somebody up the chain, maybe even the United States Attorney.
Whoever.
Yeah. Okay. That's not your call to make.
No, I'm just a soldier. Okay.
Right. I appreciate that. Now, in addition to that, sir, your in terms of the information we're talking about here, at some point your other LAPD detective leaves the LAPD. Greg Cady.
Yes. In 2011, I think.
And in 2011, I believe he publishes a book.
Yes.
And that book is called Murder Rap.
Yes.
Did you read that book?
Parts of it.
All right. And fair to say, of course, is that if you saw something in the book that was not accurate, you probably tell Greg Cady, hey, this is not accurate, this is not right.
I wouldn't tell him nothing. That's
Oh,
his version. He did what he wanted to do.
Right. Okay, so it's his version of events. You would have been like, okay, this is not right about what I did. I'm just going to leave it alone because that's what Greg Cady interpreted it to be.
No, I'm saying I was on the Los Angeles Police Department, still in charge of the Biggie Smalls case by myself. And whatever came from any books that were written, it was my responsibility to make sure that everybody was okay if they were outed in that book. So I'm not going to tell another man what he should and shouldn't do as far as writing a book. If you want to write a book, write a book. If it comes back my way and I got to investigate something you said, then I'll do that.
So this individual, Greg Cady, leaves LAPD and takes the TUPAC file with him?
From what I hear, something to that effect.
Meaning he stole the file?
Something to that effect.
Now, in addition to that, he also took the Biggie file, right, with him when he left?
From what I hear, I've never seen him, but that's what I hear.
Okay. And with regards to the recording that we're talking about here, that recording was a recording that he published, at least brought it out to the public, not you.
You will never see me on a podcast, a book, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, and you never have.
Now, in terms of, though, just your understanding and, being in LA and so forth, Greg Cady has made appearances on podcasts and other things as well, right?
Yes.
And also that would be with documentaries.
Yes.
But at least you're still abiding by the rules and that kind of thing. You would never do that.
I stick to the code. Okay, I'm abide by the streets. You're not gonna see me on there telling about what somebody else did. This is the only time you're gonna see me talking about what somebody did, sitting in this chair.
And I appreciate that, sir.
Other than that, you'll never see me doing that.
Okay. And with regards to your participation, though, in the interviews, during the time period that you're hearing Mr. Davis talk about these things, were you aware at all that he was recommended that this other attorney step in for his attorney Edie Falls and basically have this conversation?
No, to my knowledge from the media, I thought Edie Fall would have been his attorney. So I don't know anything about that. Again, that was way above my, whatever I was doing there. I don't know who made that decision. I never talked to Mr. Davis. I didn't know Mr. Higgins at that point.
Okay.
So
Were you aware that when Metro was finally notified?
yes,
When was that?
the 2009 interview.
Yes, sir. Did you make that call to Metro?
Chain of command. Somebody upstairs called Vegas when we disbanded our unit. Our case was going back to our DA. Las Vegas Metro, they were going to take over their case. So somebody in our chain of command reached out to somebody in Metro, I guess, and said, hey, we got some information for you. Somebody needs to talk to you about TUPAC. I knew Detective Dan Long. It trickled all the way down to us. Either he called me or I called him and set up the interview.
Did you tell Detective Long when he appeared here in LA for the interview with Mr. Davis that he had given a proffer in 2008?
Yes, I think he was aware of what we had. Unfortunately, he was aware of what we had done to that point, yes.
Meaning that if you had a conversation with him, say, hey, by the way, there was a proffer in place in 2008. Here's the information.
I'm sure I did. I don't recall if I told him immediately or whatever, but he was aware that we had been dealing with Mr. Davis.
So, and once again, that proffer agreement between you, the government, or the various people of the task force plus Mr. Davis, up until that point, there was no violation of that agreement, right?
Not to my knowledge, I don't know.
All right, meaning that, for instance, Mr. Davis didn't do anything that would say, hey, you violate the terms of this agreement.
No, I never used that term with him. No.
Right, but at the same time, your higher ups felt at this particular point, yeah, give the information that you just learned about Mr. Davis from 2008, give that to Metro, right?
Yes.
And once again, and I want to make sure I'm clear because I don't want to forget this question. You didn't verify anything outside of the P. Diddy potential payment that was the part of that you were looking at.
Yes.
So everything else would have been going back to Detective Long to do his investigation in Las Vegas about the information given to him by Mr. Davis?
I mean, he was going to be aware of that, yes.
Okay. But once again,
that was already out, a possibility. Just hearing Mr. Davis say it kind of solidified it, that we need to look more into this part of it, instead of it just being Tupac getting killed, Death Row, and Southside, they were involved.
yeah, but I think we're here for a slightly different purpose. We're in Las Vegas, and we just want to know what facts were presented or at least established with regards to the situation. You're telling me Detective Long would have been willing to verify whether Mr. Brown was here in Las Vegas, whether any of the other individuals in the vehicle that was represented to you was actually here in Las Vegas to establish that, right? That was his job, not yours.
Yeah, on the murder.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Now there was some activity that happened in Compton. I just want to make sure I'm clear. You weren't part of any of the investigations in Compton with regards to the gang issues and so forth. You weren't part of that.
No.
That would have been somebody else from Compton.
Compton and Metro and whoever else.
Okay. I just have one.
Yeah. Courts and buildings, sure.
Your Honor, I pass the witness. Thank you.
Okay. Any redirect, Mr. Juckman?
Just briefly, you brought up the fact that Mr. Davis said, basically, Sean Puffy Combs solicited the murder of Suge and Tupac during the course of that conversation.
Yeah.
Did he tell you where that conversation occurred?
It's a deli called Greenblatt's, still there on Sunset in Hollywood in Los Angeles.
If he never provides that portion of the information, what jurisdiction would LA have to be investigating a homicide that occurred in Las Vegas? None? So it was that piece of information which provided LAPD jurisdiction to even be looking at this murder.
You could say that. But like I said, on the Fed case with the RICO, that would have got incorporated into the RICO, the murder anyway. And that's what we were looking at. But yes, that's where it started. So you can use that also.
And so when you were unable to confirm through ZIP the Puffy Combs angle of the case, at some point your agency said, hey, we got to tell Vegas what we've been doing.
Yes.
And at that point, Dan Long comes down and you are in a room with Dan Long, Mr. Davis, his lawyer, and there's a conversation.
That's correct.
At that time, the only person left alive in the vehicle was Terrence Bubba Brown, right?
Yes.
Mr. Brown was a resident of LA, correct?
Correct.
And was there at least a discussion between you and Dan, hey, if Mr. Brown ever gets himself into some real trouble, maybe we'll have some leverage to talk to Mr. Brown?
Yes.
And then unfortunately, Mr. Brown got killed as well.
Yes.
And so the last person alive in the vehicle is Mr. Davis.
That's correct.
Nothing further.
Anything further, Mr. Sand?
Okay, so what investigation with Mr. Brown have we talked about? You wouldn't be able to verify information about where he was, whether or not he was in Las Vegas, right? You're saying? You, with Mr. Brown?
We wouldn't be able to?
Yeah.
We could have, I guess.
Right.
We would have got to that, yeah.
Sure. And with regard to that, you didn't make that effort while he was still alive. And would it be fair to say, of course, that even if someone had passed it, you would still need to verify what Mr. Davis said to you, regardless of whether or not the person's passed or not?
We would have to verify everything.
Of course, that even
Right.
if someone had passed it,
Start of it was Sean Puffy Combs, so that's what we started.
Sure.
That's it.
and your focus is a little different, but in terms of the actual murder of TUPAC Shakur, information with regards to, you know, these other individuals in the car, that would have been given to Metro to handle here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
State, anything further?
Of course you will. Yes, one follow-up. In your 34 years, 20 homicide trials, ever made a case on a guy confessing to a homicide?
Yeah, I've had a couple confessions. Yeah.
When you were talking to Mr. Davis and he's telling you what he's telling you, did you have reason to doubt his version of events as it relates to the homicide itself?
I didn't think Mr. Davis was lying because he put the gun in his nephew's hand. And if anybody knows anything from what I hear, Mr. Orlando Anderson was the man besides Keefe D in that neighborhood. He was the prince and his family loved him. I didn't think that Mr. Davis would put the gun in his own nephew's hand, dead or alive, and put that smut on him unless it was true. The person that killed Tupac, well, in the neighborhood, he's a hero. In the world, he's a villain. So I didn't think Mr. Davis, me personally, would do that unless it was true with his own nephew, because I know he loved his nephew. They all loved Orlando.
And so that particular fact, knowing the culture, and now it's 2008. I mean, let me ask you this. Was TUPAC Shakur larger than life after death?
Yes. but had he would have been legendary if he lived.
And in 2008, he is legendary at that point.
But he's dead.
And if it gets out that Mr. Davis has said his nephew pulled the trigger, would there be consequences for his neighborhood?
I mean, just the way it looks, him being a hero, meaning Tupac to the world, and then this gang, like I said, in the streets, in his hood, Orlando wasn't looked at that, but people are going to always say the Southsiders, the ones who killed Tupac, Nipsey Hussle, all these people who were like that, that's what comes with that. Now, you can wear a badge and act like it's something in your hood, but in the world, that's not a good thing to be, remembered as or thought of as the person that killed Tupac, even though what happened to Mr. Orlando Anderson wasn't right.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything further based on that?
Yes, Your Honor. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. You go to Mr. Davis because he's the target of Biggie Smalls' murder.
Yes.
You interview him, and at some point in the future, you determine that Mr. Davis is not involved in Biggie Smalls' murder.
Yes.
While you're in the room showing him the information that you have about the drug aspect of it, a life sentence potentially, and everyone in his family or people in his family and friends potentially getting all in the middle of that with all kinds of problems, right? He decides to take the hit, as like you said, right? And instead of saying, hey, I don't have anything about Biggie Smalls, which you now have confirmed, he had nothing to do with Biggie Smalls, so he had no information. He says, I actually have information, and Orlando Anderson is one of those people, right? And at the time he says it, Orlando's actually dead, right? And people in the community of Compton had all had this sort of thing going on that potentially Orlando Anderson was involved in the murder of Tupac, correct?
Correct.
So that information was available to Mr. Davis when he gave you that information, right?
Yes.
But once again, you were targeted for Biggie Smalls, and there was no information that would say he was involved in Biggie Smalls, so he couldn't give you any of that information, right? No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. DiGiacomo?
Okay.
I've lost track of how many redirects we're on, so,
Sorry.
all right. You're okay, guys. Any questions from the jury? Looking at that side of the box? No? Okay. Oh, we do have one. Okay. We have a few.
All right, truth tellers. This is Jody G, your host. I'm reporting live from Las Vegas, where it is 111 degrees today. I'm standing outside the courtroom. They're getting ready to either go on lunch or break. We started a little bit late today, but in the chat, what do you think of this current witness? He has been very strong in his testimony. He has challenged the prosecutor and the defense attorney by saying, listen, Tupac was a legend when he was alive, and he's bigger than life in death, but he also would have been big in life still had he lived. I thought that was a profound statement. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat how they're doing on the prosecution side. So far, so good, or are they losing this case? Also, let us know with a hashtag. Do you think the following people have any involvement in Tupac's death? Hashtag Diddy, hashtag Suge Knight,
All right,
hashtag
a question
Snoop.
from one of our jurors for you. For clarity, would you say the feds were more worried about the bigger fish and the whole puzzle rather than the pieces, being you had the information from Keefe and didn't need to put it together?
Yes, they were worried about the bigger picture, but this is 2006, and the smaller types of investigations on both cases had already been run to ground. You needed to come with a different type of investigation to try to see if you can get it. So that's why Detective Kading, the LAPD, that's why you brought in FBI, ATF, DEA, other agencies to all help to try to solve both cases. Once we found out what Mr. Davis had said, it was Biggie Smalls at first, and then it went to Tupac Shakur.
Okay. Any follow-up questions based on that, Mr. DeJoffma?
No.
Any follow-up questions based on that, Mr. Sam?
No.
Okay, you've faked us out again. All right, you are free to go. Thank you so much, Mr. Dupree.
Wow. This is Jody G, your host. I'm broadcasting live from Las Vegas.
We got
Stand by.
one quick thing before the witness leaves.
Oh.
May we approach?
If you want to just have him wait in the hall, or where do you want him to wait?
If you can just be back on the stand for a second.
Oh, okay.
So we are on a quick break. Every time the attorneys approach the judge, the court will mute the audio. So don't think it's your audio. Don't think it's our audio. It's not YouTube. It is the court and it's their feed. Want to give a couple shout outs. I am Jody G, your host of Truth Talks Live. We are covering the TUPAC Shakur murder trial with Duane Keefe D. Davis. Here on trial, I am boots on the ground in Las Vegas, where it is 111 degrees and 4:43 p.m. in the afternoon. Couple quick shout outs. I want to give a shout out to A Battle 2306, Sean Archuleta 607, Tone James 2182, Mark Frisbee 517, Chip Goodrich, Cato 02. It's good to see you guys in the chat. You look like you're all new here. Make sure you smash that like button, like and subscribe, and become a channel member because we have lots of exclusive.
Mr. Dupree, as you discussed earlier with the parties, you may be subject to recall in this case, but it would be okay to do it via Zoom. If you could refrain from, you're ordered not to discuss your testimony with anyone else in this case until you are released from that potential recall. Okay, thank you. You are now free to go. All right, State, what did you want to present next?
Well, we're going to start the 2008 statement, so we fill up the rest of the day.
Okay.
But we have at least one witness tomorrow, so we'll call that witness tomorrow and then probably continue on the rest of the day with the rest of the statements.
Does it make sense then? All right.
Does it make, I mean,
Go
unless the court wants us to call the witness tomorrow at 1 and then start the statements. I
think that might make the most sense.
There's just more time in the statements than there is in the day tomorrow. So we still don't
If we
finish.
play the half hour today, will that finish it out tomorrow?
It all depends on Mr. Sham's cross of the witness.
Well, Your Honor, Your Honor, there's two statements, right? I think we can definitely play one of the statements after the witness tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we have a subsequent statement. We're also playing that we introduced through Mr. Dupree. So.
And none of them will finish in the half hour. It's 35 minutes we have left.
That's correct.
That's correct.
All right, I'm gonna have the jury, I'm just gonna have the jury leave a little bit early today. We'll have them back at 1 o'clock tomorrow. All right, during this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected to this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll see you guys back here at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you.
Stand for jury.
All right, truth tellers, that'll do it for court today. We will be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific time. They start the trial, but we are here on Truth Talks Live at 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be giving you our daily recap with attorney Josh Schiffer, myself, Jody G, as well as a couple other eyewitnesses.
Anything we need to address outside the presence?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, I think it just makes more sense to play that as a block as opposed to a half hour. And I didn't realize we were breaking it up between a witness in between. So, okay, I apologize for any inconsistency up the back. All right, we'll be in recess. We'll see everyone back at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
All right, truth tellers, that'll do it for today. Explosive testimony from 2 FBI investigators. We also had another officer come on and testify. Join us tomorrow, Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific. I'm sorry, 12 noon West Coast time, and it'll be 3 p.m. on the East Coast. We'll go live with our daily recap of everything we saw today. We saw a lot of great things in the chat. A lot of people think Snoop has a lot to do with it. A lot of people think Suge Knight has a lot to do with this. We will recap everything tomorrow at 12 noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern. And then the trial itself will start at 1 o'clock West Coast time, 4 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, smash that like button before you get out of here, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow at Truth Talks Live. All right, holla.